Awesome. I'm gonna record this for us.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir. My God. Looking beautiful as always, Arno.
same, man. I was it's actually funny. Here, I back in the days, I was sporting a similar haircut as you do, actually.
Oh, okay.
You can
Okay.
probably you could probably not imagine, but let me see. Let me see if I have a picture of that somewhere. I should. I should. Let's see. I think it's on somewhere on Facebook, on Instagram. Let's see. Jeez, so many pictures. You'll really enjoy this.
Dang. Dang. You got the proof and everything. I like it. But
Yeah.
see, the very okay, so there's a very interesting thing here. So you're the second friend of mine that has no hair, right? And my first friend that went through this, he's in real estate back in Dallas, right? And I knew him well before he shaved his entire head off. So I guess like from what he told me, he's like, I started going, I noticed that I started losing hair, and I just thought I just smoked a joint one day and just thought to myself, like, why the fuck am I trying to leave, like, why am I trying to keep all of this hair on me? Like, what is there to salvage? Like, yeah, there's a lot of hair still, but I just noticed it was thinning out, and I'm like, what am I trying to hold on to it for? So he just went ahead and shaved it all off, and I he never told me about it. Just FYI, he never told me about it. And so I went to go visit him, and before you know it, I just see him with a shaved head. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And he was like, that's whenever he told me the story behind it. And I was like, dude, like you can pull it off though. That's the thing, like you can pull it off. And I'm telling you, you can absolutely pull it off. Like, I mean, obviously, this is my first introduction. Well, not this, but my first time meeting you was this way. And it's like seeing it like the with hair, it's like that the hair, it's like natural. But to me, like as meeting you with no hair first, it's like, whoa. You got that whoa factor.
Yeah. No, it's cool, and never have I been sad about it.
Yeah, that's good
Um,
though.
and it at some point it reminded me there was a situation in high school, and some girl was like putting on some face paint
Yeah.
in the classroom, right? And a classmate went over, whacked that thing that she was using
The
out of her
mirror.
hand, and said, "Leave nature in peace." It was just like if that had been like a comedy thing or so, or a
Yeah.
sitcom, it
Yeah,
would
it'd
have
be
been
like,
amazing.
whoa.
Every Yeah, exactly. Say, leave nature alone. Leave nature be.
That's some funny
It
shit
was
right there.
hilarious. It was hilarious, and that was not only funny, but it also stuck. And I never tried to like comb my hair over areas where there's no hair and things like that.
Yeah.
It was just at some point I was like, it's thinning out, and then I just rolled with it. And even back in the days in the 90s when I was watching Star Trek, I was like, one day if I grow older, I want to look like Jean-Luc Picard.
Okay. Okay. Wait, isn't the guy that played Magneto, or not Magneto,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Professor X as well?
Yes, yes,
Okay, okay,
exactly.
okay. That's making
That guy,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
From
That guy
Xavier, yeah.
is super, super like he's got so much like variety to him. It is insane. I respect him as an actor for sure. But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that was always kind of my vision of what I wanted to look like growing older. And of course, I figured maybe my 50s or 60s, but I'm absolutely cool with it. And just the ease of, I mean, when I had more hair, I was just putting gel and all that stuff in my hair
Yeah.
to work it. And it was fun. I enjoyed it, but I took longer in the bathroom than my girlfriends at
Yeah.
times.
It's quite funny because that we're even talking about hair. For some reason, my hair, I don't, dude, Arno, I really don't understand why, but for some reason, my hair has been a topic of conversation a lot lately. A lot, like more than I would like to admit. It's pretty fucking crazy.
You're
And
sporting quite a rockabilly. What is it called? I don't know the German for it, the German word for it, but
it's
it's impressive.
well,
Uh,
I all I can do is laugh about it
yeah.
because like so like okay okay so I guess we'll talk about some hair real
Yes, absolutely. I have a couple more points that I want to get across because it's a matter. It's a big thing. It is a big thing. Hair is a big thing for so many people.
really. Well, I'm
Confidence.
not gonna say really as like a surprising really, but I
Yeah.
will say like I'll definitely say like I understand because I'm one of those people, but with go ahead and finish what you're gonna say.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to chip that in. It is a lot of matter of confidence. A lot of confidence depends on what our head looks like and what our
Yeah,
hair looks like.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's basically where I was going down the rabbit hole too, is a lot of people in life, they it is a self it's like a insecurity if your hair's not right or if you lose your hair or like Elon Musk, he started losing his hair. And then once he reached his status of like billionaire status or that he was like good to go with financials, it just all grew back. Maybe he did something to it like behind the
I'm
scenes, I
sure.
don't know, I'm sure he might have, but at the same time like it came back and that's like kind of being happy. I would kind of relate that with being happy in life versus stressed because I'm every day, like I'm not even gonna fucking shit around, like I'm not gonna fuck around with the audience, like the I'm stressed every day. And I get like, you can't really, I don't know if you can see it on your side, but like all over on the sides and inside of the big body and everything of the hair, we're talking about the hair people, it's like the like there's it's salt and pepper now. Fucking salt and pepper. Like it's great. Like
Like
there's so much gray, dude. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I want my hair to be silver anyways. So like how about we go ahead and like fast track this thing real quick? And for me, I'm just like I I definitely am one that is about my hair. I've been that way since I was a kid, literally. There's pictures my wife has around here. I don't think it's here. I just have a baby picture around here. But basically like, I have pictures from, childhood that like you can see my hair is gelled up, it's spiked. I've always had the spiked look. And it's funny because with my mom, she would because like I was somewhat of a troublemaker. Not a trouble, I wouldn't say a troublemaker.
who
Let's
would have
not go
thought?
down that
Who
road.
would have thought?
Yeah, no, no, I would never go down a troublemaker, but I was always like kind of the class clown. And I loved making people laugh, right?
Yeah.
Um so what I would do is like my mom had this idea that I can remember at least because we have to remember here, like, and the audience knows this, at least mine, but like, you have to realize something. I've had a lot of concussions throughout my life, so I'm personally surprised I can remember as much as I do remember. But there's a lot of shit that I do get misconstrued a little bit as well. And so basically, like when I was a kid, what I do remember is like my mom would want me to comb my hair sideways, like the classic type of like classic, like that classic haircut or
Hmm.
hairstyle, like comb to the side, had that swoop going down, and then go ahead and comb it back right here. So it's like parted and it's like this, right? And so I, oh my God, like I hated it. I absolutely hated it, but I saw myself in the mirror and I was like, but I look good. I hated it though, but I looked good. And so I was like, I went to school and everybody saw me as this good kid. And I was just like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm going to be respectful because that's how I was raised. Right. And then, but I would never back down from like, if there was something fun happening, I would not back down from it. If there was something that like, if there was some shit that was being given to me, I wouldn't back down from it. Like, that's just kind of how it went down. But nowadays, actually, even when I was a young adult, like early 20s, so I grew my hair out very long. Like you know how hockey players are? Like the hockey player hairstyle?
No, what is that?
No? Okay. So I'm gonna show you real quick.
Is that like short in the front, long in the back, or something?
No. Let me see here. Okay, just like this.
You're getting an introduction into American culture here.
Yeah. So here you go.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
Much
yeah.
like this. It's where
Okay.
it's like you have the helmet on, and then the hair kind of grows out of the ear holes, and then you kind of get wings. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's how it was for
It's
me.
funny.
Shit, you not. I don't even know if I have a driver's license picture of it.
Awesome. I'd love to see
No,
that.
I barely. Well, I do have a driver's license picture of it, but it's like it's not. It
Oh,
doesn't
an old
really.
Facebook profile picture?
Oh, dude, I don't even go on Facebook like at all. Like I don't know. For my real estate stuff, that's the only time I've been on Facebook recently, but I had to like, yeah, I'm trying to like delete some shit on there. But anyways, um, so like I had this long hairstyle, right? And like that's what I rocked for the longest time. So imagine me with that long hair. It's very hard to. But then uh I so whenever I started dancing, um for that was like a job of mine. I cut all my hair off, right? All of it. And did it in more of like a spike look. Like basically it was like this, but it wasn't barbered like at
Hmm.
all. Never, it was never barbered. And so it wasn't until I think like
Does that
25 or
mean
20,
you cut it yourself?
huh?
Does that mean you cut your
No,
hair
I went to
yourself
a
at the time?
salon.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to a salon because like so the crazy part is like I've got too much knowledge about hair. So like it's fucking retarded, Arno. So
Funny. I
like
like it.
basically what happened was that I would always go to a salon and because they always that's what I grew up with was going to a salon.
Hmm.
And so one day a buddy of mine sent me a picture and I still use this picture example to this day. Like not even bullshitting. I literally use it. And so he sent it to me and it took me 2 weeks to actually grow the balls to go ahead and do this style of haircut, which is what you're seeing today. And so like has a line on the side, has a fade, all that shit. And finally did it my first time. And I was scared shitless, Arno, because the barber, which ended up being a very long time friend, even a friend of mine to this day, he owns a barber institute. He owns like two or three different barbershops in Dallas. It's Modern Image. Um, if anyone's ever out there, go check it out. But basically, like he's the first one that cut my hair with a razor, which
Mm.
that's a big fucking deal to me because I've never had it before. So if you've ever had something foreign happen to you, you kind of get freaked out. It's never
Yeah, there's always
happened.
uncertainty. There's always danger in new things, right?
And 16.
What was that?
Yeah, for sure. Always. Oh, 100%. Like I think it would be very unnatural for any individual to yeah, I think it would be very unnatural for any individual to say that they're totally comfortable with something that they've never been through before, but they're
Sorry, internet was a little bit wonky
it's okay.
for half a minute.
Did you catch what I said before?
Nope.
No. So I think that it would be very unnatural for somebody, and granted, there's some people that could probably be in this bracket, which is I think it would be very weird for someone to be very comfortable with something that they've never had happen to them before, unless they've already made peace with it. And
Yeah.
I hadn't made peace with
And if
that
it
situation.
involves a blade.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's like I didn't want to end up like another Sweeney Todd. Oh, did you catch that?
Yeah. You didn't want to end up like another Sweeney Todd, you said, I think.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, your internet or yeah, someone's internet went out a little bit, but yeah, I thought that was a funny one. But the whole thing is like, you know, that like it was just a weird thing, but I'm glad that my buddy had sent me that image because since 2016, that's been my hairstyle. I've made that me, and nobody else that I've ever met has the same hairstyle ever. I've never once met someone with the same hairstyle.
Yeah.
So I like it because it's original, and it's usually a little bit difficult for me to, it's a little bit difficult for anyone to nowadays, especially create something that's original, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to copy the other person, all this shit. Like your ideas are never, again, they're just never original anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the same at the time. But it also had a confidence component because, and I think very few people, nobody who only knows me via Zoom and internet and anything knows this. But tell me if you can see it. Can you see the scar on the back of my head?
I can. It looks like the reverse version of Harry Potter.
Reverse Harry Potter. Nobody's ever said that to it. But I was super conscious of that scar for the
You
longest
shouldn't
time.
be.
I'm
Dude,
not. I'm not
yeah,
anymore. Not
good.
anymore. But when I went to a salon, I always had them leave the hair at that part of my head long enough that it would cover it.
Yeah.
Because I was so self-conscious about it. And I'm wearing this scar since I'm 2 years old.
Okay.
When something heavy fell on my head, which I always joke is maybe explains a lot, but but I was always super conscious about it, and even when I wasn't able to wear my hair as as long as I did, that picture I showed you was 2008, and I had wear that hairstyle until I think 2011. 2011. So
Okay.
for about like 7 years, and then I started riding a motorbike, and I was just not able to get out under that helmet and preserve the the hairstyle. I would drive to work, and then I would have to spend some time in the bathroom to get my hair back done. And at some point, I was like, I'm just not doing this anymore. And then I
Yeah.
cut it a little bit shorter, and then it went into what it is right now, which is 3 millimeters all around my head. It's a pretty quick process, and I cut it myself twice a week. Um,
That's funny as shit.
and when I don't want to make a mess in the shower, I just go outside and do it in the garden again.
Yeah, dude. Seriously though.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's I wish I could do that. Like sometimes this is gonna be a funny one for everyone, but like sometimes, dude, I'll fucking like go in my backyard at like 3 a.m. at nighttime whenever I'm taking my dogs out. I'll just take a piss in the backyard with them. I don't give a shit, man. Like nobody's awake. All you hear, and the worst part about it is that is like everything's amplified at nighttime, especially at 3 a.m. because every there's no cars on the road, there's nothing going on, And man, whenever you're just straight streaming out there, oh my God, it's just,
Yeah.
you just,
My my
it just echoes.
my son did that a few times, and I was absolutely okay with it until I realized when he goes to school, he might do it there as well. And then I was like, that would not be so good.
Yeah.
So since then, I'm sending him inside when he has to pee, and sometimes
Yeah,
he goes like,
dude. Yeah, you
and he
can't
always announces it, Dad, I have to pee, and then he just pulls down his pants, and I'm like,
fucking,
come
yeah,
inside.
bring those things down.
And
The
you
wait
know,
for the
when
golden, wait for those golden words. I gotta pee.
exactly, well, I gotta poop, and but he announced it even inside, I gotta poop, and then he starts running through the restroom, and you know, kids that age, when they pee, they pull their pants down to the knees,
Hell
right?
yeah, dude. I did the same thing.
You know, everybody did.
I didn't give a shit
It's funny, funny.
until I think I don't even know when I stopped doing that shit. I really don't. Like maybe like sometime in elementary school, maybe like first grade. I don't know, something like that. It just, I don't know. Especially if I was alone. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're, it's like nowadays, like the only way I can compare that to nowadays is very weird to be able to compare that to nowadays. But nowadays, it's like, I like to shit in peace, right? Am I gonna lie about that? Yeah, we went there. But like, I'll be that dude that I will go if I'm going to the restroom. I will go like most of the time. I will not go to a urinal because number one, I think it's just weird because most of the time you go to a urinal, there's no dividers. I like my fucking privacy. So I'll go into a stall and then I will choose at that point whether or not I'm gonna sit down and have a lazy piss, or I'm just gonna stand my big, I guess my big variance about that is gonna be whether the toilet seat is clean or not. Because you know how guys are messy as shit, gonna piss all over the toilet seat. Before you know it, you can't do anything about it. So I'm not gonna clean up someone else's piss either because I don't get paid enough to do that. But I just like my privacy. That's all. I just like, especially whenever I'm going to the restroom. Like I don't give it. Like say you and I went into the restroom. You went to go piss, and I went to go piss, right? But you'll see me going into the stall most likely, even if it's just to take a piss. It doesn't mean that I can't that I'm not still gonna talk because I probably will, especially if I know you. Like I'll probably make some stupid comments, like about myself first off. Like my cousin from Germany, we did this shit all the fucking time. It's hilarious. I hope he's gonna listen to this episode because he's gonna laugh so hard. We'll go into the restroom, and then and he's like, he would have had, like, he would drink so much water before you know it, his stream is so strong, and I'm in the stall and I make a comment and I'm like, Edmund, god damn, are you pissing with a pressure washer or what the hell is going on right now? And he just and every single time he laughed, it got stronger and stronger. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like what the hell is going? So we literally had this like pissing match upon who could stream harder. It was just hilarious. I just, the shit that you do with people that you're comfortable with, I don't know. It's just, that's the way I see
No,
it personally.
absolutely, absolutely. And I rarely use urinals because I don't know. I think it's more comfortable to sit down, and that's just
This
me.
whole
No,
thing,
no
dude,
judgment.
have
No
you have you
judgment.
have you heard this whole
You'll probably
taboo shit?
find me walking into a stall, and for me, it's not about privacy. I have no problem to be with 100 people around, but I just like sitting down and just relaxing.
Dude, yeah. Like there's this whole thing. I think it's so stupid. I don't know. I really don't know what it is. I want to say it's like misogynist, but I barely understand what that word means, to be quite frank with you. So I don't like to talk about shit that I don't really understand. But like, and this is just me openly admitting that, but like, um, but like dudes are so, I don't know if it's prideful or egotistical about themselves, but like,
You
you
mean
know how
for
like,
standing up while peeing?
yeah,
I don't. It's so funny because I don't get it.
me
I don't get
neither.
it.
I don't know if it's just that they're not comfortable with themselves or what, but like, I don't feel like I have to stand 24 fucking 7 in order to take a piss. And most of the time, Arno, most of the fucking time, it's going to be those good old boys, those go Brandon types, those like, those dudes that are like, you know, just like, hey boys, how you doing? We're going to go out this thing. Yeah. Like, it's going to be those type of guys, you know? And not to
Why
talk
is
shit
ego
about
involved
those
in the
dudes either, but
restroom? What has ego to do in the restroom?
dude, I don't
Right?
fucking know. Like, I
I
think it's, I think it's, I really, I would
I
have
mean,
to,
at some point, I kind of phrase, I don't sit on urinals and I don't stand in front of toilets. It just makes sense to me. I mean, there are situations again. If I'm in a public restroom and it's all full of piss, of course, then I wouldn't sit down,
yeah,
obviously, right?
absolutely not.
But
Fuck
but
no.
other than that, I just use the devices the way they were created and made for, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
what's so
dude.
good?
Like, I really don't, I think it's more so like of what I've observed at least, is like, I think it's more of the guys that are in like the Midwest and East Coast. I mean, granted, there's a shit ton of people that are like that all over the country, even here in
Dude,
California.
in Germany, it's a worldwide thing. There are people.
Oh
There's
shit. Okay.
there's so many people in men in Germany, German men. I can't say what percentage, but who are adamant about having to pee standing in front of a toilet, and then either what's the thing called? Either lowering the seat or keeping the seat up, and then the seat is up, and then their wife or girlfriend goes into the restroom, sits down on a toilet where the toilet seat is up and gets annoyed, or they leave pee on the seat and and wife or girlfriend sits down in it, and it's just such a big relationship issue in so many relationships, and that is that it should be a non-problem. Keep your fucking ego outside of the restroom.
Dude,
Make it
yeah,
easy. It's such an easy way to be pleasant and avoid conflict.
yeah, before you know it, they're calling you a piece of shit in German, saying "Du bist ein Stück Scheiße" over here and shit like that. I'm just like, what the hell, man? Come on now. And then like, but see, like, there's a thing here is that like, is that there's a Chelsea lately, or Chelsea, Chelsea Handler, right?
Hmm.
So she has a Netflix deal out, that's like episodes, right? And there is a my wife and I were watching it last night, and she says, or Chelsea was like in this elderly home, right? This retirement home, and so one black dude goes ahead and says, you know, I think the biggest form of respect is whenever you is whenever for me, I go ahead and I lift the toilet, or I put the toilet seat down after I'm done peeing. But then whenever my wife goes ahead and uses the restroom, she puts the toilet seat back up, and they see that as like the highest form of like, I guess, like respect or something. And I thought to myself, like, okay, that's cool. Like, that's legit. I think that's pretty cool. But like, um, I just thought to myself, kind of like, well, like, everyone has their own ways of doing things. Like, I'm not knocking their way by any means. In fact, I support their way completely. But it's just one of those things that, like, whenever you hear this, because you hear it all the time, it's on social media all the time as it is like, um when dudes don't put the toilet seat down, or people just don't put the toilet seat down for females, for women, it's like, I'm trying to be better about that, but like, the for it's like, it's weird because it's like a big taboo deal about it, I guess. And I don't know. I think it's just weird about like not doing it versus doing it. Because like, every time, whenever you go into a home, like, okay, you go to a home that it's a friend's house, right? Would you see a toilet seat? This is fucking hilarious that we're talking about this topic. But when you go to a friend's house and you go into their restroom after you ask where it is, then is it more inviting to see the actual toilet seat up to where you're seeing the water and everything? Or is it more inviting to see the toilet seat down and the lid down and everything to where it's like a perfect invitation?
For me personally,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even notice. I couldn't even
Wouldn't
tell you
notice. Okay.
what was going on. What comes to mind is, have you ever gone number two and sat down on a toilet where the toilet seat was up?
As a kid, I have.
uh, I absolutely have, and it was annoying AF.
It was the worst thing ever.
It
I do
was
remember that.
you have this split second of dropping.
Dude, yeah.
You're gonna
No, I remember the only time that, at least that I can recall, the only time that ever really happened to me was whenever I was in elementary school, and the toilet seat was all pissed on, and I just put the toilet seat up, and you just have the porcelain bowl, and then
yeah.
you're sitting on the rim, and I just thought to myself, wow, this is cold and disgusting, like this is icky. And I'm like, oh my God. And like I'm sitting here holding on to the bottom of the door so I don't fall in. And I'm like, oh my God, dude,
No,
no.
but
Like,
what I mean is, accidentally, when you think the seat is down and you can have a seat, but it's not.
how do you
So by mistake.
accidentally think that?
So for example, if you don't pay attention, if you're like all in your thoughts, and you just walk into the bathroom, and you just and I'm thinking, why has that happened to me? It has happened to me because, again, I always sit down. I always sit down on the
Okay.
toilet. And I think it has happened to me when I had a guest who left it up, maybe.
Okay.
And for me, it's just a given that in my household, it's always down. I don't have to pay attention to it because women obviously don't leave it up. I don't leave it up. It's always down. So it's a given. So it's not in my unconscious to test it,
Yeah. Okay.
because those things become habits and unconscious. So I would sit down, and there's this inch missing, right,
Yeah.
from where it is, and you know where your butt is supposed to
Yeah,
touch something,
exactly.
and
Yep.
it doesn't, and you just sit down in nothing, and there's the split second of I'm falling. No, no, I'm not. But it's disgusting and uncomfortable anyway.
Oh
And
shit, yes.
and having had that experience, I mean, I can absolutely feel with any woman who gets absolutely effed up by that.
For sure. 100%.
Absolutely annoying. And yeah, it's so I have enough compassion to not want to do that to anybody else.
Dude, 100% same here. 100, like I could not agree more. No, it's and I really do find it that it's hilarious that we're talking about this, because like I said before, this is a topic that I don't feel like is ever really discussed over anyone. Like, yeah, it comes up as like a little topic on Instagram, like how, like, examples of like the guy that never talks, and is the one black dude that never talks, but he made such a big name for himself because he never talked. He just, like, there was these,
You
he
mean the
made
dude with the sign or what?
no, like what he would do was like these Instagram hacks, and then it would be so simple, like all you had to do was like one step, and then
Mm.
like it was that simple. So he would do that one step and it'd be that simple, and he's like this, like he just puts his hands out like that, like
Ah,
that. And so it's a thing that, like, in relative of that, it's like how easy is it just to put the seat down? It's that simple.
yeah.
And yeah, it's that simple. And
Absolutely.
like, and I can imagine like someone try to create an Instagram hack out of putting the toilet seat down. Like, you have to create this whole mechanical thing and just do, I don't know, like put a card in, scan it, and then let it go down. I don't know. But you know what? If you're
They're
into the
automatic toilets. They're toilets that
I was just about to
automatically
say
lower the
that.
seat. You see
I was just about to say that. Great minds think alike, Arno. Great minds think alike,
that?
my dude.
That's
But yeah, dude, like it's just,
yeah.
I think it's funny because a lot of people, mainly guys, they do have this weird, I guess, ideology. I think that would be the right word for it. That would just be just is full of ego, like as though they're fucking working out in the gym. Don't even get me started on that topic. But like, it's just, I don't think it's talked about enough. I don't think it's given, I don't think women are given as much respect, especially whenever it comes to the bathroom. Um, that's my personal opinion. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just kind of how it goes. Like, I respect women to the highest extent possible. And I think it's just very disrespectful whenever, you know, like when you inconvenience a woman like that, it's like
it's
it goes
just
both ways.
easy. It's just easy to show appreciation that way. If
For sure.
if your girl knows that you pee standing up and she never finds a trace, that's appreciated.
Dude,
And
yeah, I
it's
would
just
say so. And
and it's
imagine
yeah,
it like this too, like an added fucking layer to that. Imagine you go to the restroom, then before you know it, your woman goes to the restroom. All you did was warm that seat up. It's like, oh, you warm my biscuits for me. Hey, what's up?
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, but it's a big part, and for me, I mean, it's absolutely funny. It's absolutely, you hear very seldom people talk about this topic, but for me as a relationship coach, this is a big topic, and I
Is it
love
really?
I love elaborating on it because it's also a metaphor for other life situations,
Yeah.
right? So one thing is you want to be relevant in your relationship. You want to be relevant and not irrelevant. And every time you do something to your partner where she's like, if he wasn't here, my life would be a little bit easier. You become irrelevant in the relationship
Yeah.
locally, right? You never want to become globally irrelevant because then the relationship ends. But you also want to make those tiny moments of irrelevancy as little as possible. And this is just a moment where you can show that she is relevant to you. That's why because you're also demonstrating that she is irrelevant to you if you don't put the toilet seat down. So you
Mhm.
demonstrate, and there's not necessarily a big gain from doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe she notices it, maybe she
Yeah.
notices it, appreciates it, but there's a big detriment to not doing it.
Yeah.
And what goes a little bit, it's related. What's related is usually or oftentimes two people have a different sense of privacy. One person couldn't care less if he or she does number two and the other person is in the bathroom with
Yeah.
them. And for another person, it is an absolutely outrageous thought. They want
Yeah.
to be alone when they do number two, and they do not want to be present and exposed to the smell when the other person does number two. And there's no right or wrong, right? One person likes this, one person likes this. Maybe both have the same preference, but when there's a different preference, that is an area of life where there can be conflict. And
Yeah.
it's an area of life, and
I can
it's a
see that.
fantastic metaphor for setting boundaries,
I can
setting
see
and
that.
enforcing boundaries with love. Because if you want your privacy and the other person just freaking walks in and it's just a no-go for you, it's just a boundary for you, it makes you feel exposed and whatever feelings it is, disgusting and it is a big deal.
Yeah.
So you would ask the person, and that is and setting and enforcing boundaries is a two-step process. One is setting, that's about talking, and one is enforcing it, that is action. So people set boundaries and say, "Can you please knock?" or "Can you not knock?" And the other person says, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry," and stays in the bathroom. They're like, "Can you please leave?" And it's a big deal. And chances are they will make the other person leave, and the other person feels or choose to feel offended about it. What's the
Yeah.
big deal? Because it's not a big deal for them.
Yeah.
So now you can do one of two things. Thing one is you make it a game. Every single time you're in the bathroom, you know there's a chance the other person will walk in. The other person does walk in. You might have a big fit, and it has this pattern and dynamic of going back and forth every single time instead of just locking that door.
Does this
No, but
actually happen?
I
Like
want
this must happen a lot for you to talk about this like
that
that.
must that happens, and you can say, hey, and then people say, no, but I want him to respect it and knock. I don't want him to I don't want to have to lock the door. He needs to respect me enough to do it, or she needs to respect me enough to not do it. And that is just BS. That is the essence of playing games. I see a guy. Right.
Yeah, he's
Um,
crying in the background. He has separation anxiety. So
yeah, like my guys over here.
see, that's how Diesel, do you see that? That's how you need to be right here. Look at that. That's how you need to be. Come on. Come
That's
on.
right. And that is just playing games. That's just playing games. Just locking that freaking door. You set and enforce your boundary with love. Then the other person not maybe just tries to walk in and notices, and they can even choose to be pissed about it. Why
Yeah.
not? But you say, "I'm sorry, I need my privacy. That's why I locked the door." Um, and then the other person may or may not start knocking at some point. And when you say, "No, I need my privacy," and then not even try to open the door. Maybe in the beginning they even try to open the door, mother effer, right? Try to open the door and then leave. At some point, maybe they'll just knock, hear no, and leave. And after, I don't know, half a year or so, that trust is built, and you forget locking the door because you just know that person knocks now. But it's not about that person starting to respect the boundary. You set and enforce the boundary so that even if they do that until everybody's 90 years old, it doesn't matter anymore because the boundary is set, the door is locked. And that's such a great metaphor for setting and enforcing boundaries in any situation in the relationship. Find a way to enforce it with love.
See, do you think that would be like a same form as respect for the other person?
It's interesting that you say that. Yes, it is respect, but locking that door is a matter of self respect.
Okay.
If it matters to me that the other person doesn't want to walk in, and it's a matter of being disrespected if someone walks in on my number two, then I respect myself enough to keep that space safe and demonstrate to that person that it's important to do it by setting and enforcing that boundary and making sure it does not happen
Yeah.
with love. It's a matter of self-respect. And if I don't exercise my self-respect that way, how is the other person supposed to respect that?
Right. I mean, that's the thing is like why to me, and this might be just because I'm me, that I find it weird. I don't know if weird is the right word because I feel like saying that as weird is like a judgmental word, and I don't mean to judge by any means, and it's not what I'm doing. But like I just think it's so I guess I will stick with the word. I think it's so weird
It is
that
not
people,
intuitive to you.
huh?
Maybe it's not intuitive to you. Is that the
No,
expression?
I just don't mean it. I don't mean weird as like a judgmental word, like in this context, especially, but like
Mm-hmm.
I just find it so weird that people don't have the what I would deem respect for the other person, whether it's a man or a woman, to like if I'm in the restroom and I'm taking a shit, the last thing you want to do is go in there because it's gonna smell like shit. It's gonna smell terrible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but like we have something in our house called poopery. I'm sure you know about it.
The
And
spray.
yeah, you spray it in the toilet and you before you even go do anything, you just spray it in there and let it roll. Before you know it, it smells like you're shitting rosemary. It's amazing. And so like you but now it's like if you are going to the restroom, unless you have a dog that likes to be by your side all the time, that's one thing. That's totally understandable. I mean, our boys, they hate being away, just like Diesel behind me crying and everything. He hates being away from either me or mommy, right?
Same with my
So
guy.
like,
He loves to
so
come into the restroom.
yeah, dude, like, well, he most of the time he won't. He'll just like be outside the door. But then Sparks here, which is right beside me on a pillow, is like he'll want to go inside the bathroom, like full fledged, like just
My
jump
guy as
into
well.
yeah, just jump into the deep end. And so it's like, all right, cool. But for a human, I think it's just weird that somebody would have would not give that common courtesy, I guess it would be the best way to word it, and just leave that person be. Like, dude, like I'll be taking a shit for like 30 minutes. I shit you not. And my love comes around and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Like it's just like I didn't drink enough water today or something, which sometimes happens. But the thing is uh like she'll check on me, but other than that, she's not gonna barge in and like unless I'm asking for some toilet paper and be like, "Hey, like I need some TP real quick," and she's like, "Hey, all right, here you go." But most of the time we don't even say that because we already make sure that everything's fulfilled. But I think it's just so weird that people will just barge in whenever someone is using the restroom, even if you're married. Like you gotta see, you gotta keep some things as a fucking mystery. Like some things. Like I
You
fart in
know,
front of my wife. Like I do. And like it took a minute for that to happen. I think like it is definitely before we got married for sure. That I farted in front of her. And dude, like there's so many people, man, that don't just let loose in front of their significant others. And I'm just like, man, like I get the whole mystery thing. I promise I do. But at the same time, it's just like, how much of a mystery are you going to create before you end up in the hospital because
and
of,
how much mystery is it in the end anyway?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like you taking the words right out of my mouth, Arno. Because like, dude, and it's funny because a lot of this stuff I bring up, I like once I start doing stand up, I'm a like some of this shit I'm gonna be talking about as well because it's funny, it's relatable,
Yeah, absolutely.
and like you're
And it
laughing your ass
sticks.
off over there,
It
like
sticks, absolutely.
it's the perfect thing ever, and it's like
Yeah.
it's funny as shit because these are like we said earlier, these are things that people don't normally want to talk about for what the fuck ever reason. Maybe it's a taboo topic, maybe it's just like a trigger warning, I don't know. But it's just one of those things that it's just a simple the simple in my eyes, in my perspective, it is a simple form of respect. Just very simple.
And here's the reveal. I have no problem walking in on my wife number two and going and get something. I don't care, right? She cares a lot. So I had to learn to respect that.
So you fell into this as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
Interesting.
I I I had to learn to knock and respect when she says no. That's
Interesting.
fine. And sometimes that was the confusing part. She would say yes, and then I would open the door because I would understand yes, and she's just yes as yes, I'm listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes coming, I would walk in, and she'd be like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "You
Yeah.
said yes."
Yeah. I can understand how that's a little bit of a learning curve, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, I know for myself, I've been the total opposite. I because I grew up with two females. I didn't grow up with the dad at all. Like, yeah, there's some male figures here and there that were my mom's boyfriends and whatnot, but other than that, it wasn't like a consistent male figure, like
Mm,
laying down the iron fist. My mom did both those jobs like very well. But the thing is like I grew up with two females all my life. So
mhm.
I was already kind of um I was already kind of like groomed for that. So it wouldn't be like one of those things that like I was totally comfortable in middle school riding my bike and or skateboard down to the store to go grab my mom and my sister pads, for example. Like most guys, I don't care if you're a husband, a boyfriend, a son, whatever. Most of the time, like all these guys are like they're just ew about it. And it's just to me, I don't know if it's the way I grew up because I grew up around the medical field most of my life. So I don't know if it's something that has to do with that or just the fact that I'm very understanding about women and their shit that they got going on that we don't have to go through. So in order to help them out, and seeing all of that, how much discomfort my mom and my sister were whenever I was growing up, whenever they go on their periods, and like introducing the period talks and all that shit. Like, I was actually there for all that. And I'm not even going through it, but it allowed for me a different type of perspective upon how women operate, and understanding that, like, when it is Shark Week, if you will, it's like, no, you can be doing nothing wrong at all, but just because they're in so much discomfort, and us guys don't give them the amount of credit that they should receive when going through the pain. I mean, it's just like those TENS units. If you put that on your groin area, and you put a TENS unit onto like the highest one, there's different modes to this thing, by the way.
Mm.
And you can mimic how a cramp feels like. And most guys will, it's like, you can't go through it. It's just the worst pain ever. And it's funny. And I, for the guys that are not crazily understanding about it, like, I absolutely invite them to do it, because I think it would give a totally, like, I personally, I don't need to do it, because all my life, well, at least as a kid, I went through the whole thing of having women just barking after me, even if I'm just sitting there, just doing nothing and minding my own business, just bark at me for no reason. But I understand it. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, like, I nothing that I say, I can say, okay, I'm sorry, and they're fucking pissed off with that. That I can be like, you want some water? They're pissed off with that. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it
And
is.
it's up to you to recognize that you are in front of a human that
Yeah,
is in discomfort, and
yeah,
cater to that,
yeah.
and not try to demand the person in discomfort
Right,
to change their state of being.
right. It's just
You,
being
as
ultra
you're in a
understanding.
comfortable space, as you are in a comfortable space, it is easier for you to adjust your state of being and cater your communication to the needs of the other person. It's
Exactly.
just it's just a natural thing, and and that's what makes you be appreciated
Yeah. Well,
for that.
exactly. Yeah, you're completely correct about that. Like, it's just, I think that with going along appreciation, I think it's like a very big topic that I don't know. I don't know if it's just not talked about enough, or what, but like, appreciation is more than, oh my God, appreciation. Oh my fucking God. It's like Valentine's Day. Oh my God. It's like the day
Love
coming up.
love and
I,
appreciation are interchangeable. Love is unconditional appreciation. It's one of my favorite definitions of love.
right. However, my love and I, we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. There's a reason. Our reason is because you shouldn't have one day out of the year that you put aside to show all of your love and appreciation for that person. That's hogwash all day long. That's like,
100%.
I we think that's like the kind of like the biggest form of disrespect, and like, show that's like the biggest way to show your partner how not involved you are in the relationship. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just insane.
Valentine's Day, doing something for Valentine's Day can only be icing on the cake. If Valentine's Day, birthday, and Christmas are the 3 days where you show appreciation,
Mhm.
where you give gifts to someone who appreciates gifts, you got it backwards, and you're making it difficult for yourself. You're making your relationship difficult for yourself if you do that. Doing something special on Valentine's Day, why not? But if it's the only thing,
Yeah, if that's the
it's
only day of the year that you make a point to do that, that's completely fucked up.
yeah, 100%. I just sent a posted something in a Facebook relationship group, and I asked what little things do you do for your wife, husbands? What little thing do you do for your wives on a regular basis? What little gifts do you give them on a regular basis? And I got a huge list of things that was really powerful. And I asked the same question the other way around, because sometimes you just wonder, what could I do? Well, I could buy flowers, but if you always only buy flowers, that can get boring as well. What other little gifts can you make? And being not so creative about that is fine, but finding a source to find ideas and then doing
Right.
those things. And there were a
Right.
couple of things where I was like, this is cute. I'm going to do that. Like one guy said he writes little love notes for his wife on a sticky note and puts them on the mirror.
Yeah.
So cute. Such a
Yeah.
cute little thing where the other person feels appreciated. It's not a big deal at all. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And then something that I did in the past, I found giving flowers
Mhm.
completely stupid. Because why would I purchase an item that then goes bad within a week and is gone? I give flowers that are in pots. And at some point, I was like, I don't know, you get it totally backwards because it is about giving something pretty and useless that goes
Yeah.
away. Because you can only put so many pots in your house. At some point, you're like, okay, where am I going to put the next flower, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do normal flowers in order to be able to do it on a regular basis.
Right.
Um, and then that shifted my idea there.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that, like, no matter how big or small it is, making sure that you're doing a variety of things for things to not get stale is super, super key. And it's just one of those things that, you know, to appreciate your partner is a big deal no matter what, because that if you don't appreciate your partner, then there's a mental note that I made for myself, that Lil Nas, he as weird as it may sound, he had said something across the lines of like, if I'm not gonna be like the best person for my partner, then there's somebody else out there that will be. And so I thought about that, and I was baked for sure. And I was and I heard that and I was like, damn, like that is very true. And I had already thought about that like well before that, but that's whenever I was like, oh shit, like it came into my mind again. And I just thought about that. I was like, damn, like, there is like my wife, not that she ever would, but my wife could very well leave me for somebody else that like, because there is other people out there. I'm not the only one in this world that could treat my wife as good as I do, but I make that such a priority for myself in my marriage that I'm just like, there literally is nobody that can make my wife laugh harder than I make her laugh, treat her as best as I treat her, and I am as respectful as I am to her. That like as open and honest and just doing every like just so serving to her. There's nobody else that would be able to do better than me for her, and
Yeah,
vice versa.
yeah,
And it's just like we joke about it a lot. Um, that like we have a lot of friends that are in relationships, and they do they we have talks, we have conversations with other couples, right, that are friends of ours and
mm,
everything. We'll talk with them and whatnot, and they'll like some of them will be more open than others, like about
sure,
what it is that we've been going through and
yeah.
shit. Just depends on your comfortability and like what type of vibe you're bringing to the table. Like with you and I, we could fucking talk about anything. I don't give a shit. Like, let's go for it. But like,
100%.
with with other people that are couple friends of ours, there's only certain things that you can go over. Like, but my wife and I, we're pretty open books overall, And so it's just we noticed it that there's a lot of people, there's a good amount of people at least that come to us for advice that we feel like we're very good examples for a lot of people in the world, like
Mm,
a lot of couples in general, just the way that she and I are with one another. But also we do understand that not everybody is going to be the same way either, but some people could definitely take a tip or two or a piece of advice or two from us and to become
yeah,
better for their partners. Not
for
saying,
sure.
and I'm definitely not saying that we're the perfect specimens at all, because we're not. You know, I'm not saying that at all, but
no matter what life looks like, it's never a Disney movie. It's never only rainbows and
exactly
unicorns. There's always conflict. We always have conflicts with ourselves.
right.
Every single time I have to make a decision, every single time I notice that I made a mistake, I'm in a conflict with myself. And as I
Dude, yeah.
can't stop doing that, as long as I have a pulse, I can't stop having conflict in the relationship.
Dude, I go through a fucking therapy about this shit. Like, I shit you're not, dude. My like I don't know if you watched the latest episode or listened to the latest episode that I did for the podcast. But I was talking about mental health.
Yeah, not yet.
I don't know if you heard it or anything, but basically I was talking about, you know, how my side of things is that, you know, at one point in time of my life, I would, like, with, you know, beating yourself up and everything, you know, I just never, I am my own worst critic. Okay. No one can be worse than I am on me. Right. So,
Yeah, same here.
uh, earlier in life, in my early 20s, I had this thought process that I did not feel comfortable with talking with a therapist, because why in the hell would I go ahead and pay somebody to talk with them per hour about my own shit? Didn't make sense. And so it came out, and this is kind of like in a nutshell of that episode. And I'm just like, you know, but what I found later in life was that, you know, my wife inspired this for me, which was like, sometimes you do need to talk with somebody that has an unbiased viewpoint about you, whatever it is that you're saying. They're not going to be a yes person. They're also not going to be a no person. They're just going to be
Mm,
totally neutral, no neutral grounds all day long. And a lot of the time is that, you know, whenever we're being hard on ourselves, we're sometimes being too hard on ourselves, and understanding that, you know, if you think you did something wrong, there's probably nothing more that you could have done in that specific moment in time that would have changed the outcome at all. There's just nothing. Like, it just is what it is, and you sometimes have to accept that and move on with your life, because if you allow yourself to get sucked in, then it's just a big black hole of emptiness feelings and just shitty feelings. And talk about confidence, your confidence just goes down the shitter as well. It's just one of those type of things. But nowadays I have a therapist, and I talk with him pretty much about everything, anything and everything. But it's just one of those things that I feel that a lot of people should go through a therapist in ways, because they have different viewpoints on things. And one of my big things was that, you know, I couldn't figure out one thing I didn't understand was that, how can I speak with somebody that doesn't even understand or has even gone through what I've gone through?
mm,
Like, that's very difficult for me to be able to for me to think about them relating with me.
yeah.
And so I'm just like, shit. And so I had to go through it. And I went through one other therapist. We weren't a really good match. And then my second therapist has been good so far. But yeah, dude, it's like, and
I think
even
it helps. I think it helps when the therapist or coach has gone through something, and 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 really is able to muster that empathy, you know, and
yeah,
not just goes from high level and that educational university science background, but really understands and respects that there are deep rooted differences and blocks. Like
yeah,
for example, for a long time, I had a big problem, or I just didn't acknowledge someone being blocked and not doing something. I always felt there was some kind of intention in some way, shape, or form behind that. I wouldn't accept that someone just could be mentally blocked until when I learned to become a therapist, and I was just messing with it with a friend, and that person gave me a suggestion and said I will not be able to say my name, and he got me out of the hypnosis and asked me what my name was, and for the life of me I was not able to bring it out, and that
yeah,
was the freaking weirdest experience of being blocked. I was aware of my name, I knew my name, but I couldn't get my mouth to bring it out, and it was, And it gave me such a deep insight into the possibility of a human being in front of the water and not being able to drink.
Hmm.
Although the situation is so clear. And I think it's important to be able to meet people at that level to really genuinely accept everything about them, every aspect about them. And that's what I would expect of a therapist. And that's why a therapist or a coach who expresses that, who exudes that, is a special person to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, I see it. I definitely agree with your viewpoint for sure. And I also, to add to that, I feel like it's really good for someone to have that higher education of psychology for sure, to
Mm,
understand, like, because like with me, like for starters, I've gone through, you know, like I've had ADD and ADHD all my life, right? Just
mm,
how kind of how it's been. And it's put me through a lot of turmoil, but I've also found a way to cope with it as well, to make it work for me and work with me.
mm.
And like I've explained with him so much throughout like kind of, because I think we've had like 5 sessions and we've gone through a lot. Like that's 5 hours of shit, right? And
Yeah,
so, and like I work really great when I'm having a conversation with somebody, right? And I love deep conversations. That, just that
absolutely.
so
That's what's
well.
happening right here.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. I thrive off of the deep conversations, because as long as I understand that you're not trying to have a surface level conversation, I can't be my real self, and I will be my real self, but it's just not going to translate very well whenever you're trying to stay surface level, like it's a fucking
Yeah.
interview, like a regular job interview. And
Mm,
then, because right now we're two friends talking, right? But we're so comfortable with talking with one another and going so deep. And it's like, I couldn't have that. Like most of my friendships, they're not a surface level thing. If they're
mm,
surface level, I don't jive well with it. Like I don't,
yeah.
I'm not about it. And
Mm,
but in the therapy setting, it's like, one guy, like, dude, I'll be super transparent. Like my first therapist, right? He was like, I want to focus on you growing and changing with the growth. And I'm like, I like how it sounds, but so let's see how this shit goes, right? So I went through, and I went through like, I think like 4 sessions as well with him. And if he's watching this, which I would not be surprised, I didn't like, the number one thing I don't appreciate is when I'm talking with you about situations, about problems that I'm going through, like actual fucking mental problems, and you try to ask me like, what did you create a business model? Did you create a business plan? Did you do this? Did you do that? And I'm like, did you even listen to a fucking word I just said? Has nothing to do with a business plan. I've already told you I created a business plan. Why the fuck are you telling me to asking me if I did this shit already? I'm like 10 steps ahead of that. Like, what the fuck? And
mm.
so
So just not in a rapport, just on different pages.
it's like whenever this dude asked me if I've created a business plan for real estate,
Mm,
I was so offended. I'm not even
mm,
fucking lying to you. I was offended.
mm,
I was
mm,
like, through these sessions, and you're asking me if I created a business plan? Really? Do you know, like, have you listened to a damn thing I fucking said? And like a red flag popped up whenever, because I don't say my wife's name like ever, like really ever.
mm.
And there's a lot of people that say the same shit. They're like, why doesn't Damien ever say his wife's name? I
Yeah. Me
I
neither.
have that. Okay, my wife's name is Carissa. Okay. Carissa, not Clarissa, or not Corissa. It's Carissa with a C. Now, I have someone asked me, I forgot who in the hell it was. It was years ago though. Someone said like, um, can you stop saying your love and your sweetheart? And I was like, can you fuck
I
off?
find it cute.
No,
I
I
find it
just told
cute
him.
actually.
No, I just told I well, thank you. But I told them straight up, I was like, can you fuck off? And they're like, what? And I'm like, that is my love. That is my sweetheart.
Mm,
Like, who's my wife? I got fucking bent. Like, that is like the number one thing that will set me off whenever you tell me how to address my wife. Because who the fuck
mm,
are you to tell me how to address my love when that is what she is to me?
yeah.
Like, she is my forever woman. And it's like, who the fuck are you again? So like, it's just,
Mm,
and so the reason why I brought that up is because I promise there's a reason, is that the therapist, my first one, um, he asked me twice, what's your wife's name again? I'm like, fool, you should be writing this shit down. Like, if you have that fucking much of a problem, you should be writing it down. And then that's whenever I realized, it's like, oh, my wife taught me. I'm like, I talk with her about this stuff, right? I'm just very open with her. And I asked her, I was like, what if I'm not vibing well with my therapist? And
mm,
she's like, well, you're probably gonna have to go through 5 of them in order to find the right one that fits you. And I was like, what? Like,
mm,
what? Like, I'm gonna have to find one that fits me. And she's like, yeah, like that's kind of the journey of going through this. I'm like, what?
mm.
Like, I can't, that dude, that blew my mind. Because I was like, I thought it was like, I don't know. I thought it was like a thing that you find your one therapist, you go through your sessions, they figure shit out, and like you're good to go. But no, that's not how it
Yeah.
is at all. And yeah, it's just nuts to me, man.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be, if you don't feel listened to, how are you gonna be able to say the things you need to say?
Right. It's
Yeah.
like with your clients. Also, don't mean to totally like take the train off the railroad here, but how did your I never got to ask you how your most recent client in beginning of January went.
The corporate training,
Yeah.
that was cool. That was really cool. Yeah. I hadn't done a 2 day training in a while.
Mhm.
And it was really good. I counted 5 yawns, and that is, I think, that's pretty good for, for, for 2 days with a group of CPAs, and it was a lovely group.
Oh,
We had a good
CPAs.
time.
Damn, the
I
most
had a good
boring. You got the
time.
most boring bunch out of them all.
Yeah, you'd think, right? You'd think, but we had a great time. We had a great time, and yeah, we talked about one thing that I like to talk about in corporate settings is the 5 languages of appreciation,
Okay.
which is the 5 love languages translated into the corporate environment.
Interesting. Okay.
And we already touched on gifts
Yeah.
earlier, right? um, and noticing how you can express your appreciation in the workplace. And of course, there's a possibility to do gifts. Now, also, touch is a more difficult thing to do at the workplace, and that's an area you need to be super sensitive about, obviously,
Hmm.
because there are people who can appreciate fist bumps and high fives and pats on the
Yeah.
back, and there are people who can go absolutely mental when you do that. So
Yeah, I
topic to be
can't.
very sensitive
I think
about.
that would be crazy if somebody went completely mental about a fist bump.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, mental about a fist bump, probably not. But if you have a female that may have suffered sexual abuse, molestation, and
Yeah,
you approach her and pat her back in the wrong, you're in deep trouble,
dude. Yeah,
and for good reason.
that's for real. That is for real shit. Like that is
Yeah,
absolutely for real. Like, that's a very good point. I didn't even think about that, but that is such a fucking excellent point, Arno.
Yeah. And it doesn't even need to be, she doesn't even need to have been gone through that. She may just not like touch. So you also can't uh, realize a difficult or an unappreciative response and then assume that that has happened to the person. That would also be wrong. That would be just as wrong. It's
Right.
just taking it as it is. It's not their preference. And me touching the other person, the intention is to build a connection, to drive connection, to do something positive. And if that is not achieved, I just don't do it.
Dude, that's one thing. Oh my God, man. Like, that's that. Oh my Lord. Did anybody go through that though?
In
No,
general,
no, like,
people
did anyone go through that in
in
the
that group,
CPA
no,
people? Okay.
no. I also navigated around that because I also didn't ask the question, so how many of you appreciate touch and how many don't? Because because it would not be sensitive creating the assumption or going into that. This is just something where in the workplace, as you work with people, you need to use your sensory acuity and see, do they touch others?
Right.
Do they go in for a high five? Are
Right.
they open to that and ready and positive and maybe initiate it themselves, or are they
Right.
even reluctant? You go high five and they go like, okay, and that is something you can't teach somebody that. You need to use your sensory acuity and find that out. I mean,
See,
you can also ask if you built enough relationship already. You can ask the person if the person likes high fives. Why not? But you gotta be sensitive around it.
see what I've experienced in my so I got a funny thing to tell you. It is relativity to this a little bit, but um in my I'll say that part for a little later, but like in my short I'll say this, in my short time of working for somebody, okay? I've done roof sales, I've done timeshare sales, done oh my God. I've worked for a tax resolution firm. What else have I done? Raised capital for different industries. Um, there's one other thing I've done. I forgot what it is. But in doing all these things, right? You're working for somebody, right? And it's all in a sales atmosphere. And it's crazy because what like a lot of people are very, especially like anything with like a person to person, like in-person interaction, very shy, very, very
Mm-hmm.
shy. So you could go up to them and like be all outgoing. But what I noticed, say, so here's the thing. When I did timeshare sales, I went in, didn't say a fucking word to anybody. Just I have RBF,
What's that?
resting bitch face.
I do too. I call it resting murder face in my case, but absolutely.
Resting bitch face. Like it's just a resting face that says like don't even fucking talk to me. But see, that's the thing, and that's the thing I've talked about with my therapist, and that's actually in my stand-up bits as well, is like what's going on out here is not what's going on in here.
Never.
So it's like my therapist tells me this is like, what it is, it sounds like to me is that it's just you're exuding confidence, and people that are not as confident in themselves probably will not approach you just because that's just the way that it is. And it's not for him to be like, oh, like for me to look so arrogant or think arrogantly or anything, but it's just some people are shy and some people are not. That's the way that it goes. So in let's say timeshares, there's a lot of people that are fucking afraid of going in front of people to like greet them. And it was a very weird experience for me too. But and the way that they sell is very off-putting, by the way.
Hmm.
This is like the entire industry of timeshare sales. I would win my people over always. They would in fact tell me, if Damien, if you sold real estate, I would buy from you all day.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm in the wrong fucking job all day long. And so, but like with the people in the back, right? I would go up to them, and like I would not say shit to anybody. I would just be minding my own business, doing my work, like away from the timeshare shit. So I was raising capital at the same time I was doing timeshares, right?
Hmm.
And so people would ask me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm working." And they're like, "But what are you doing? Like, what is this work in?" And so typically those people were shy people that would just not really talk with anybody, because I was observed from afar of
Hmm.
like of people that were like more close to themselves, and people thought I was more close to myself because I didn't say shit to anybody. That was the absolute opposite version of me.
Hmm.
As like, you're getting my true self here, right? This, you would not deem me to be a shy person, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, not really, no.
So whenever someone says, yeah, Damien seems like a very reserved person, very shy person, how would you take that, Arno?
I would be surprised.
are, are we talking about the same Damien over here? What's going on here? Like,
Exactly. How did you act that Damien acted like that in front of you? That's
yeah,
probably a question I would ask myself.
yeah. Well, see, like that's because you have more intuitive questions. Most people, the average person, would not be like that. They'd probably be like, "Are we talking about the same Damien?" But the thing is like,
Yeah.
if I was to go up and high five somebody over there, and I knew that they were shy, they would what I noticed is that they would hop on the bandwagon of being like uppity, because like you're the one delivering the confident and the up vibes and all that shit, right? So they want to match that. Just naturally they want to match it. It's fucking funny as hell, because even the most shyest person, I've noticed that I was able to get them comfortable with being being like uppity, like having energy and everything, like with
Hmm.
what they say, their influx, their dialect, all that stuff. And it was hilarious to me because I thought it was so cool that I was able to have that effect on people. And then, later on, like as of like the end of last year, I realized what I was no, yeah, it was like it's summertime of last year, actually. Um, that's whenever I really understood about myself, like I could do stand-up comedy for sure. I could totally do it. Like I got it. Like I
Hmm.
don't know, like I read into it a lot because I want to do so
Hmm.
good, but I'm just like, damn, like I don't know why I read into it so much, because like I think I might fail and all this shit, and it's like it's just one of those things
That's
that
part of it. Part of it is going up there and not taking yourself too seriously and being
that's a
absolutely
big that's
comfortable with failing.
a big deal too, because I take myself, there's certain parts of me that I can take seriously, but then that's the part of me that I have to remove, because like in like I love making people laugh, right? I love it. Like
Hmm.
it really makes me feel good to hear people laugh. And so what I've understood about myself in the recent years is that I have this infectious laugh, and I didn't really understand that. And then I started reading more into it. I'm like, oh shit, okay. Like my sweetheart literally said this last night. I shit you not. She's like, your laugh is literally one of those things that will be so infectious that like sometimes a laugh is funnier than the joke. And
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, like sweet, like that's legit. Like if I could just make you laugh by laughing myself, just I'll tell myself a joke and fucking
That's
laugh.
easy. Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. And with that said, I wrote a book since we last spoke.
Hmm.
I wrote a
Awesome.
book. I
What is
wrote
it about?
a sales book,
Sales book.
a sales book. Yep. So basically, like my head of IT, Russell, he was like, he told me, he was like, dude, like, uh, if you're so worried about what to do in the meantime of your real estate license coming in, why don't you go ahead and create a book? And I'm like, damn, like
Yeah.
maybe I should. And then he was like, why not? Like, you've been talking about it for so long now.
Mm,
And I was like, shit, like, and he's like, to my understanding, you already created some content about it. I was like, yep, I guess I did. Yep. And so he's like, why don't you do it? And we'll go ahead and sell it. I'm like, fuck, that's
cool.
a really good idea. So it took me like the better part of about a week for me to put it all together and everything. But
Mm,
yeah, dude, fucking made an ebook
nice.
over here. Super
Awesome.
stoked. Like,
So happy to read it. Send it over if you like.
yeah, I'll send you a free copy over. Because it's going because I'll send you a free copy. You're a friend of mine. I'll fucking do that shit all day. Because I'm it's funny because I'm selling it for $300, the advanced copy. Fuck yeah. Because it's like
For $300?
fuck yeah, dude. It's the advanced copy. I have two copies. I have one copy,
Uh-huh.
it's a basic copy, basic version. It has 15 different methods in it. Softcore version, as I call it. And then
Hmm.
you have your advanced version, which the advanced version is everything that I know for a fact that people in sales and phone sales do not talk about. They don't.
Mm,
They don't talk about it at all. And this is like damn near 13 years of knowledge in sales and phone sales. Well, phone sales since 2016, but the people I've learned from is just like out of this world. And then
yeah.
like even from when I was younger, like all through just understanding sales and whatnot and what makes people tick and everything. um yeah, that one, the advanced version, has like 45 different methods in it. It's insane.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'll send you a fucking copy, dude, all day for sure.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because of course as a coach, my passion is coaching, but if I don't sell my coaching, I don't coach, right? So marketing and sales is part of it. And I always love to learn in both of those fields as well. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's different. I haven't like the only I really haven't been able to find something that's like this, because it's like really directed towards phone sales. But like anyone that I've ever trained in my past, that yeah, anyone that I've ever trained in my past for phone sales has taken it to in-person sales and has just fucking killed it. Like absolutely just murder the game. And I'm like, damn, like that's legit. Like I feel good about myself because I taught them that. And these guys, like, they didn't come from any type of sales background. They were always like
Yeah.
just thrown in the gauntlet and like, okay,
That's the
what are you gonna
thing.
do?
You don't have to know anything about sales to be good at sales. The opposite is, I think the opposite is true many times that if you come from sales and you like sales too much, you'll be too salesy, right?
Yes. Yep. And
So
that's the thing, is like being able to, like, for the people that have never been in sales before, and they just go ahead and dive right into it, they're not going to understand what they need to do. Like, especially if you came from a military background, for example, and you go into sales, you're not going to know the best way that's going to help you like win the client over at all. Like, this just not going to be there because you've been so strict, and like you're not going to be yelling at them. That's like the worst way to do it. And you're also not going to try to sell them on it because they have to choose themselves.
yeah,
And so like, like so some people I had trained, it was just like, they were all in that same category. They never had sales background before. They were just told to go ahead and dive into it, and told them like, look, you're cold calling people. Talk with them as though you've known them forever. They're just a long time friend that you have not met in like ever. And just with that alone, you'd be surprised at how insane their intake was of people. It was insane.
dude. I I get on a call with someone who is interested in coaching, wants to speak with me, and within 5 minutes, that person shares with me about their sexual abuse in childhood,
Yeah.
and also shares with me that they're working with a therapist. At some point, I asked, and then I said, "So, have you talked with your therapist about it?" "No, I don't trust him." I'm like, okay, I understand. And internally, I'm like, you told me after 5 minutes.
But
And
that's the thing. But that's the thing, Arno. That's the thing is that they came to you for a specific purpose, which was for a relation as to be a relationship coach. And that's what they came to you specifically for. And you're already like your voice is super approachable. You're not rough, you're smooth, and you're super like just by the way your tone is, your tonality is super compassionate, is super understanding. You just being you is just super
it's
understanding.
true. I genuinely care, and I think they noticed very, very early on that
Yeah,
I
dude.
genuinely care. That I genuinely love humans, and I believe that every person who does bad things, I believe hurt people, and I
Yeah.
can and I keep my boundaries, of course. I don't let people run over me, but I still have to do that with compassion, understand where they're coming from, and
Yeah. But that's like
yeah.
the thing that is like with sales, most people don't get this. But like you have to like oh man, I just treat it as I usually always treat it as a longtime friend that I have not seen in a very long time. A very like that's just the way I always treat it. Like just like that. And so as long for me, and it's always been one of those things that like whenever I started in phone sales, dude, it was one of those things that like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing in phone sales ever. Like I just didn't. And so basically what happened was that I was doing oil and gas. And that's not the place you go to for a first time phone sales, like ever. Like I don't care who you are, you just don't do it.
I
But
didn't even know that it was sold over the phone. Oil and gas. How does that work?
dude, it's the worst thing ever. It's so crazy, man. These investors, you work with accredited investors, okay? I'll tell you
Mm-hmm.
exactly how it goes down. You get a leads list. I have a fucking big box of them over here, right? You buy them from lead brokers. Okay. What they do is they mine the leads. So where like they'll go to like Dun and Bradstreet, they'll go to Chase banks, they'll do all this stuff. They'll tell them exactly what they're looking for because in Dun and Bradstreet, that you can have your income, the business income, all that shit. You can get all these parameters. Well, then you pay for that data. Then you sell
Mm.
that data. So most of the time, if it's like people that are really worth it, then you're going to go ahead and the lead brokers will sell you a lead for like $100 a lead, no joke. And
Mm-hmm.
so you call these people out of the blue. You don't even know who they are. But then you call them and then you just start pitching away. You're like, hey, hi Arno, this is Damien with I don't know, with Imperial Assets. How you doing today? And they're like, hey, good. Like most of the time they're the good old boys. So like, yeah, what you want? And it's like, you kind of have to like just break through that barrier because a lot of people are not going to respond well with like a deep voice like this. They're just not going to. So you have to kind of match them because these oil guys are that way. So I'd be like, hey, well, I understand that you're an accredited investor. Is that still the case? And they're like, yeah, that is still the case. Or they'll be like, yeah, that is still the case. Why are you calling me? And it's like, and I'm like, well, um, we have some oil reserves here, oil leases. And I understand that you are an investor in oil leases. So I wanted to bring this by you, see if it might fit your appetite as an investor. I understand if you're not liquid right now, which saying that is like call it like poking the bear a little bit because nobody wants to be called out that they can't afford it. But that's something that I did naturally. I for some reason I just
Mm-hmm.
knew what would push somebody's buttons
Mm-hmm.
without actually like going overboard. And then like you just tell them about the oil lease, how much barrels you're pumping out daily or monthly or whatever. And this is also based upon the price of oil per barrel. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole like I even still have it to this day. There's an algorithm, like a mathematical equation that you use to be able to tell people exactly what like roughly how much they're going to make on their investment if they invest with you on that oil
Mm-hmm.
lease. Based on the amount of barrels, based on the pricing, based on like all these different metrics. And what I learned is that some of this I had to be taught, but like with dealing with people, I did not have to be taught that at all. It was just the
Mm-hmm.
technicalities of the industry that I had to be
Yeah.
taught. And so it was like, if you went toe to toe with somebody, that's when I noticed the largest amount of success was when I went toe to toe with somebody. If somebody tried to call me out about something, I would go toe to toe with them. I would not back down. And if someone tried to say like, "Oh, you're like good job from reading from a script," I'm like, I don't know what type of script you're talking about, because like, does it sound like I'm reading from a script right now? Because I'm definitely not. Like, this entire conversation has not been from a script. And because it really wasn't. Like, some of it was, but most of it was not. But if someone tried to call me out about it, I'd plead the fifth. I'm like, no, I'm not. And so it's just one of those things that like, you have to make the conversation interesting. And nowadays, whenever I get phone calls from investments or from like just people that you can absolutely, they're reading from a script, I will call them out, because why not? Because for me, as being like a trainer and a coach and sales and everything too, for phone sales especially, is one of those things that I'm like, I know how good I am, and I know that the people that are calling me aren't worth a shit. Like, the people, and it's not them, because everyone can be good at it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, you have to be taught. Most people do have to be taught how to
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not one of those things that like, if you're not a natural like I am, great, good for you. But there's not a lot of people that are like that.
Yeah.
There's not at all.
And it can also be in your way and make it difficult to learn even more.
But
It can.
that's the hard part though. For me, that it's a good point that you brought that up though, because I went through that. Now,
Mm.
because in all these different things that I've done, especially like whenever I have not owned the business, whenever it's just been me working for somebody, I had this issue whenever it was definitely when I almost got a yawn out of there. I caught you. No, so
Did it?
it's like
I tried to hide it. Didn't work. Did it?
I know. Your internet didn't freeze up at that time.
Wish it had.
No, but like, I'll be quick about this part. Is like, um, because I've done so much in phone sales, especially, it's been one of those things that I've been such a high producer in phone sales. Whenever I went to this tax resolution firm, for me, it was one of those things that I would listen only to what I thought, like what I knew I didn't know, which was how to treat these clients that are coming in, that are calling in and everything, right? So that was the only part that I really had to understand. But then the guy that was training us, he was like, he would deem himself the greatest thing of all time.
Mm.
And I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like, whatever. So then what happened is that um so I started breaking records at this place. Shit you not. Like, I started doing more than everyone there. Like, and I was the rookie.
Mm.
Because that was the first time I've ever been in that industry before. But I knew how to talk with people. And I knew how to like sound very confident over the phone. Even if I had no idea what the hell I was talking about, I'd sound so good over the phone. And people like that. People like to know that they're dealing with somebody that is experienced, that is
It
very sure
expresses
of themselves.
confidence and authority, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's a method in there too in the book. And so um it's like the where I started not listening anymore was when I knew I had it. Like, I just knew. Like, you can't, it's so hard to teach me anything anymore with sales, because I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. It's
Mm.
not an arrogant or like a cockiness. It's absolute 100 million% confidence all day long. And it's like, that's the biggest thing with phone sales. As long as your voice really like just sounds that way, like, all day long, like you're compassionate and confident, but your tone of voice is more compassionate, which in your business, I would imagine, you have to be more compassionate rather than confident, because your confidence will come out no matter what. That's just being sure of yourself. But then the compassionate for you, you're coming up to people in your business that they're coming to you for help. You're not selling anything. They're telling you what they want. And that's the thing. That's a big difference about yours versus a lot of other people, like a lot of other people's business, if you will.
Yeah, the compassionate and compassion and wanting to hear the other person and being genuinely interested in what is going on
Mm-hmm.
is the foundation.
Yeah.
Because without that, I don't have the opportunity to express my confidence in the things I know and give information that can help.
Yeah.
If I give information that can help before the other person feels heard and
Mm-hmm.
understood, nothing happens,
Right.
and rightfully so.
Right. And that's the thing, is like people do want to be not heard, but like you said, people want to be listened to. And as long as you listen to what their wants and needs are, then you understand especially their needs, then you've won them completely. Like,
And when I then give them a tool with confidence and a metaphor that is an example of how that tool has worked for me or someone else in the past,
mm-hmm.
that is what they need to be inclined to try it out and get the result for themselves.
You know what we call that in sales?
Good.
A third party story.
Third party story. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny because in timeshares, that's what they teach you.
Facts
That's
tell, stories sell, right?
yes.
And as a coach, even when someone is a client, I still need to sell each and every tool that I talk about,
Yeah.
because if I don't sell that tool, so to speak, they won't use it and they won't
Right.
get the benefits. And they can only use the tool when they see that it's relevant, and only know that it's relevant when they get a story of how it worked for me or someone else.
But you see, that's also kind of a double-edged sword too, because I so I know, like, whenever I told you the price of my ebook, your eyes just went like, holy shit.
Yeah,
But like,
it's an expensive book.
but
Expensive
the
books out there though.
but that's the thing, is that I've done it both ways before. I've given shit out for free and people could give a fuck about it.
Yeah.
But if you make them pay for it, they're going to invest into it. They're going to invest their time because now they're paying so much for it. What you're going to put your shit in, you're going to put your all into it. Like, if you're paying for a license, like for a securities license, it's like, to go through the education, it's like $400 to $600. And that comes with the book and all that shit too. But if you're not going to, if you get it for free, the likelihood of you actually going through it is very minimal. That's what I've understood about that part as well. And so whenever I came out with this, I'm like, this is literally over 10 years worth of knowledge that I'm putting in one book. Like, this is not your everyday book. And like, for salespeople and for phone salespeople, it's just not your everyday book. And so it's like, it's one of those things that I'm just like, fuck it. Like, if people want to buy it, people are going to buy it. But like, but they're going to invest themselves into it. And if they really are about making their sales careers something bigger and better, then they're going to adhere to the rules, because it's what works. There's nothing in there that doesn't work. Just kind of
Depending
how
on
it
the
is.
situation, right? Because every
Well, yeah.
situation has its. Is that? Have you read the book "Pitch Anything" by Arno Koch?
No,
It's
I've heard it. I've seen it, but
yeah.
I saw it and I was like, eh.
I think it's a fantastic book. Maybe it covers things that you already know and that you then also covered in your book. But he also talks about how things are different in different situations. I mean, it's if I speak with a German person, I speak German. It's already
Yeah.
things are already different.
Yeah.
If I don't, I break rapport.
Yep.
And if I don't use the right body language, I break rapport as well. And if I'm on the phone with someone, and I don't match mirror voice and tonality, I break rapport as well. There was this guy. Did we talk about that already? Dr. Drupinski, you know, he had this show Loveline that was on late night radio where people would talk openly about their relationship problems, sex problems, and drug problems.
I don't think so.
It was on US radio for I think 20 years or so. Um, and he would get those people to open up about everything. And
Shit.
when I heard about it, I was fascinated and I listened to 30 episodes straight. And I wondered, how did he do that? But pretty quickly, I realized he matched and mirrored the voice and tonality of the person.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he consciously did it, if he was trained to do that, or if he unconsciously does it. I do it unconsciously when I'm on the phone with someone because
Yep.
it not only helps them understand you better and people who are like themselves and you become more likable, but as you match the voice and tonality of the other person, you understand them better. And the most
Yeah.
mind-blowing experience I had with my son, we were on a hike somewhere, and he said, "Oh, there's a," um, he said, "a walk," and I was like, "Huh?" He said, "A walk," and I said, "A walk," and I just said what he said exactly the way he said it and repeated a couple of times. And I was like, "Oh, a rock!" And there was this huge boulder by the side of the road. And I absolutely didn't get it. And then I noticed when he says something that I absolutely don't get, and I say it in his voice and tonality and just repeat how he says it, then those things sink in and suddenly understand it. And how the brain does it,
Yep.
I have no clue. I have no clue. It's an absolute mystery, but it works just amazing. And I still do. He's 4 now. I still do it, and it's
Yeah.
just freaking amazing. And it helps me understand him. Right?
Isn't
That's the
that crazy
power.
though? It's like,
Yeah.
and in sales that you call that mirroring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nuts. And one thing, so I know when we kind of spoke about this over the phone. Um have you used Chat GPT recently at all?
Dude, ChatGPT, I started using it so much. I started using it so much. I put a, I made a title for it
No
on my phone
shit.
because I'm using it more than Google. It's just so much
Dang.
faster and so much better. Yeah, and you can
Now,
on Safari you can make a turn a website into a tile on iPhone, and yeah, usually I use Chrome, but for this one I created a tile because I'm just using it all the time.
dude, so what, like, you're aware that it stopped learning really everything back in 2021, right?
2021, yeah.
Yeah. But now what I saw yesterday is that there's actual plugins that you can put into Chrome, and it'll put it into Chat GPT, and it'll already do this, but you can have it write an email for you. But that's already something you can do, but it goes even deeper than that. You can put someone's, I don't know if you can do it. I just thought about this, like putting someone's response into Chat GPT and then say, write an email in response to this message.
Mm,
So the plugin does that to where you don't even go into Chat GPT. You go into your email, and then you have that email there, but then the plugin already pops up, because it detects that you're doing an email, and then it says put their response, or put their response in it. So you put their response, and then you type in roughly what you want to say, and then it'll type out exactly like a perfect message for you. um and it's funny because no one knows this, but other than, well, Adrian and now you. But what I did was for the caption for the Instagram post that I did for the latest episode that we brought out.
mm.
I said, write a description or write a caption for this, for a video that says something like this. And it says, and I could have never come up with this, by the way, ever, not on my own. Um, um, it says, So it was normalized discussing mental health. That's the title of this. So it's this one right here that you can see.
Yeah.
Yep. So it says here, uh, breaking the stigma and normalizing the conversation around mental health, hyphen, tune into the latest episode of DGU podcast. I could have never written that. Personally,
Hmm.
I'm not that creative, like writing this stuff out. But it was so crazy to me that that it'll do all these things for you.
Yeah.
But I've been using it so much as well. And
For my last Instagram post, I had ChatGPT give me the a list of 30 relevant hashtags.
so there's so that's another thing, because it stopped learning back in 2021. There's a plugin that'll make it current to where it'll start surfing the web for all of the current articles.
Hmm.
So it'll start surfing everything, and then like for the trends, you're asking for trends back in 2021. But if you do
Yeah.
this plugin, it'll do it to where it'll surf the web for all things current as of 2023.
I mean, hashtags in the area of relationships. I mean, there are only so much.
I would imagine so, but then there's some things that we just don't think about as well. Which
Yeah.
ChatGPT, dude, it's like thinking for us. It's fucking insane. Like, I'm not even gonna joke with you right now. So like I today, because I was trying to do this yesterday, but today, before we got on our episode today, I went ahead and said so anyone who's listening to this should take this advice all day long. So what I did was I asked it to give me some questions to be able to ask you.
Hmm. I'm getting really excited over here.
Yeah, dude. So what I did, so here's the thing. So I've been doing a lot of education about this chat GPT because, well, I'm not the smartest person in the room, so I'm not gonna act like I am. So before I tried using chat GPT, and it was always like I said like I would always ask really basic questions. So it computers will I saw this on a YouTube video yesterday. Computers will only do as much as you command it to, right?
Yeah,
So if you're not
exactly.
that intelligent, the computer's not going to be as intelligent. Okay. So what I've understood about ChatGPT is that you can make it act a certain way. So I said, this is one of the things that I've said is that pretend you're the best or greatest interviewer in the world. What questions would you ask a relationship coach?
Mm-hmm.
And it came out with 10 things. I said more. Came out with another 10 things. Then I said, what interesting questions would you ask someone? Because now it's stuck in the mindset that you're the greatest interviewer in the world.
Hmm.
Then it came out with 15 other things, other topics of discussion. I won't read them all to you, but it's
Did you ask any of them?
no, I didn't, because because so you know, like whenever you and I love this for the viewers. So like, you know, whenever you and I initially spoke on the phone, because
Yes,
like you
absolutely.
remember how we got connected?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like
Tell the
yesterday.
audience how we got connected.
Yeah. Uh, I reached out on LinkedIn through an automated LinkedIn sequence, and you didn't get that it was an automated sequence. And what you did was you just called me right away. And I picked up the phone, and we just talked about anything for an hour or so. And because I think the sequence was I was reaching out to podcasters. And at some point I said, do you know that my outreach was automated? And you were like, what? Because that's what it's all about, right? I mean, if I were reaching out to 100 podcasters, what message would I send them? I don't have the time to sit there and ask each person the same question. So I constructed a genuine question that I would ask everybody that I would then type in manually, but I would still use the same question, and that was
Right.
just relevant. Yeah, and so we had a conversation just like we have today, and we went deep, and we were like, people should hear this. This is good.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, I straight up said, like, we need to stop because like we're talking about so much shit that like this is the same stuff that we were talking in the podcast. And the thing is, what happened on that moment, the reason why I wanted you to explain to the audience what how you and I met in the first place, because that really goes to show of how this, like the last episode that it was with you, this episode that it was with you, or that it is with you. And it's funny because you just asked me, did you ask me any of those questions that Chat GPT spat out to me? And the answer was no. The reason why it's no is because we talked about shit, like we talked about stuff going on 2 hours now. And it was shit that was relevant to like, I didn't even realize that it was even relevant to your work. And but it just worked. And it was like, and I'm looking at these questions trying to like, okay, if there's some type of stale situation, which so far there's not been a stale situation, then I have these on the back burner. And I'll tell you, like one thing was that let's see here, there was one that okay, so can you give an example of a particularly challenging case that you have worked with and how you approached it? That's one of the questions out of
Yeah, and I can actually answer that question if you're actually interested in it.
Go for it.
One of my most challenging situations was with a Vietnam veteran who had some PTSD, and I had just started out as a coach, and I was not qualified to treat people with PTSD whatsoever, right? So I would not. But what from my knowledge of trauma and things like that, it was at a Rotary event. At that point, I was doing a lot of in-person networking, and he gave a speech, and he teared up, and tears were running down his face as he was giving the speech. And I was like, "That's authentic. He is feeling that pain right now." And I approached him at the end of that event. He was sitting there, and I was like, "Hey, that was an amazing speech. It touched me so much." I'm like, you know, when you talked about that topic, did you remember how you felt back in the days, or did those feelings come up? I knew the answer, but I asked that question. He said, "No, those feelings came up." And I said, "Okay, um, are you cool with that, or would you like that, or would you like to overcome that?" And he looked at me and was like, "I would like to overcome that." And I said, "Let's talk about that at some point." And and we had a phone call, and I said, "You know, I've never worked with anyone with PTSD, um, but I believe that I'm able to help you, and I'm very open with you. I'm sharing that with you, and if you like, um, we can try that." And he said, "Yeah, I would like to try that." And we made an appointment, and he also said, "So how much would that be?" And I said, "Look, I told you I've never worked with anyone with PTSD, and so I would do it for free." And he said, "If you do it for free, I'll never get anything out of it. I need to pay you something." And he said, "Is it okay if I give you $200?" I said, "Absolutely." And that was also a deep insight into sales, because I had heard that, but I had never heard someone approaching me that way and insisting and paying me because they knew that. So that was deep. And we had a couple of sessions, and we were not getting into the meat and potatoes. I was like, there's something missing. And I remember driving to our appointment and saying to myself, today I will find it. I don't know how yet, but today I will find it. And I did that day. And as I was asking questions, he came out with that story and that reason and that experience that he had, which we unearthed. And he said, I had never thought, I hadn't thought about this in years. And as he told the story, he teared up just like in that, when he
Yeah.
was giving that speech. And during that speech, those emotions connected to that event came up, but not even the memory of that event, because those emotions were just ingrained. That emotional baggage was just triggered by certain topics. And then we went through that release process that I've been through myself, and that I take my clients through. I've actually done just yesterday a breakthrough session with someone. It was really awesome. And then, and I didn't know if that would work, right? I'd never worked with someone with PTSD, and I'd been very clear and outlined, and but it did. And then at the end of that, so I was excited about that. I was also very, very, very careful about it, of course. And then at the end of the process, I was like, so how do you feel? Kind of like
Yeah.
that, right? And he was like, that's weird. I don't feel it right now. I don't feel it right now. And he was also quite a jokester. And he was like, huh, you're pretty happy with yourself right now, aren't you? He said to me. I said, I'm happy that I was able to help. And yeah, let's see. And he says, yeah, I don't know if it will last though. And I said, nobody knows. We'll see. And then it took like 3 weeks of us speaking on a regular basis until he said, "Oh no, it's really gone." Like 3 weeks, and that was probably the most tense, because I I had this huge amount of responsibility, that despite having set him up and talked about it, and having asked for permission,
Yeah,
um, I still was very, very, very conscious about it. And that was probably the toughest moment.
that makes sense. Now, did you think that was a really good question?
I think it was a good it was a good question. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was a good
Now I'm
question.
gonna throw two of them at you, and you get to choose one of two. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Where the fuck was it? Okay. Um, so I think this one would be a good one. Um, how do you help couples deal with infidelity or trust issues in their relationship? That's number one. Or, um, how do you address and incorporate power dynamics and dynamics of inequality in relationships? Choose one.
Say the second one again.
How do you address and incorporate power dynamics and dynamics of inequality in relationships?
And dynamics of inequality. I think that's the more challenging question. That's the most challenging one, because I also I'm not sure how to, because I can go different ways. So first and foremost, I think there are different dynamics in relationships. You can have a what I call a love-based relationship, where they're just two equals, um, who love each other and respect each other and meet each other on eye level. And then you can have a fear-based relationship, where one or both partners already think about leaving the relationship, and are one step out of the door, but they're afraid of what is going to happen if I take the other foot out as well. I'm going to be alone. How are other people going to look at me when I'm a divorced person, for example? That stigma, and they're afraid of taking that step, and then and that's what keeps them in the relationship. But there's also this idea, maybe I can save it. So that's typical for people working with me. And then there are also power-based relationship, where there's a clear hierarchy between the partners, and
Mhm.
one partner is the boss, and the other person is the subordinate. And of course, the idea is to bring the latter two back into becoming a love-based relationship. And now the question is, how? How does that happen? and it depends on which partner I'm talking to, right? If I'm with the person in power or the person that feels out of power. And for that person, it's a lot about setting boundaries, setting and enforcing boundaries with love, as we talked about earlier already. And for the person in power, it is about paying more respect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding how first of all, understanding how they are disrespectful, and that it is disrespect that they're doing, because in the end, if you're expressing, if you high and mighty in your relationship, you are per definition disrespectful. So understanding, and I had one client, and on one conversation, I said, how much do you respect your wife, and for that matter, other people around you?
God damn.
And he paused and he said, you motherfucker.
This is the power guy, like the one that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah,
higher.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
And he
okay.
said, you motherfucker, as much as I have to. And it was a very, very deep insight for him. Just that question. And now I think you're frozen again. Or I'm frozen. Or we're both frozen.
No, I'm here.
Ah, okay.
I think
You were just completely still, and
yeah, no, I'm just like I'm just like listening to you, like
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So helping that person to express respect and to understand what is respect and what is not respect. I had a person who had taught to show more appreciation and gratitude, and how you cannot overdo appreciation and gratitude. And the person said, "But will that not make me her bitch?" And I said, "No, it won't. If you if you do a lot of appreciation and gratitude, and you do not set boundaries, set and enforce your boundaries, that's what makes you anybody's bitch. You got to show up for yourself and show respectable behavior, and and um, and show appreciation and gratitude, but
Right.
and really getting that, and also noticing, because there's always a bit of punishment, a little bit of one-upping the other person. I remember that person told me a story of they were somewhere with the kids, and they were just hanging out, and there were some stores around, and his wife said, "Oh, I'm going to check out that store," and he said, "Yeah, but don't pay, don't spend more than $500." Just quickly, in an instance, one-upping her and telling her who's the boss,
That's
right?
yeah, I've actually seen that happen before, and it's gnarly.
Yeah, yeah, and working on that from one perspective, but then also working with the other person and working on confidence, also working on setting and enforcing boundaries. Yeah, it's interesting.
What did you think about that question?
I think it was a good question. It was a deep question, actually. Right?
Yeah.
It could have gone different ways, and I think those are questions where you need to know what you're talking about and be on your toes to be able to answer them. And
Absolutely.
and you can use those questions to see if what someone does has merit or not. So it's
Yeah.
good questions.
Yeah, um uh I thought some of the so before we got on our episode today, I saw these getting spat out, and I was like, damn, like I'm reading through these. To me, I think, my gosh, I think that these look like a lot of like confidence and trust issues, like mainly those two things. Maybe some type of communication and some ego in there as well. But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, I think that's what you being a relationship coach is about, is just managing the ego, the pride, the trust, the communication, the trust, the confidence, like
The
all of these.
values, the beliefs of the person.
Yeah, and I'm reading through these, I'm like, damn, like I think that's just like kind of me being intuitive about these questions. Like there's one that's okay. I mean, I can actually relate with this one, but like, how do you help couples navigate challenges of long distance relationships or relationships where one partner is frequently traveling?
Hmm. It depends on the situation. What comes to mind is that sometimes I have people on the phone who tell me about their relationship problems, and when I speak with them, at some point, I notice they have never even met their partner in person. They're talking to me about a relationship that they have for like 2 or 3 years, and they've never met their partner.
That's
And,
wild.
and it's super wild, but it is not as rare as you may think. And
I
in
think it's
that,
fucking rare.
yeah, but it happens. And in that case, I say, look, I want to give it to you straight, and I cannot help you because you are not in a relationship. You are in a fantasy.
Yeah.
I cannot give you even the advice. I mean, I would never give anyone the advice to break up, but there is not even a breakup that you would have to go through. You're just living a fantasy.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. If you haven't touched that person, smelled that person, tasted that person, hugged that person, been with that person outside of almost a laboratory setting of a Zoom call or FaceTime call, if at all, uh, that relationship doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The chances are you meet each other and you just discuss it and leave. You do not have a relationship, and I can help you.
Yeah. It's crazy because this question I've actually seen myself. Um I haven't gone through it, but I've witnessed people that have sent large sums of money to someone that they thought it was, and they were married.
Mm,
Like the person that sent the money was married, and they were trying to have an affair, but they ended up having an affair with some dude in Africa that like, hey, send me $250,000, like I really need it, like I have all that, my I'm about to blah blah blah
yeah.
whatever. And they end up sending all the money, and then their wife, the actual like partner, is like, what the fuck? And then before you know it, like I actually did go through that. Not me, but like I serviced a client that went through that, and I thought he was joking with me, and I literally said, "Are you joking with me right now?" Like I literally said that, and he was like, "No, sir, I'm not. Like I really need help." I'm like, dude, what? So I wasn't coming from a point
Wow.
of judgment. I was coming from like, I was just completely shocked because I've never spoken with anyone that's actually ever gone through that before, and
Mm,
he's the one that seeked it out. So he dug his own grave with his wife, which I was like, dude, if you're, I'm thinking to myself,
yeah.
like, if your wife leaves you, man, that's on you, dude. Like, shit, oh my lord, yeah.
Yeah, and then in the long distance relationship, again, it's what is the actual challenge in that relationship? So,
See, my wife and I, we were long distance for 4.5 months.
but that's not a long time.
That's a pretty fucking long time for somebody that's like, that like in that time frame for us, we went through like she was here in Temecula, where we live now,
Mm,
and I was over in Dallas.
mm.
So we saw each other on the weekends, but we were long distance for 4.5 months. But we saw each other like through video. We talked with one another pretty much daily. Whether it was a phone
You
call,
stayed
text.
connected. You
Yeah, for
stayed
sure.
connected. Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
important.
And that's the thing, is that um there's a lot of people on her side here in California that were betting on us that we were not going to last.
Hmm.
Can you even guess as to what they said? Can you take a fucking wild guess? Just even one.
One of you would cheat or something. That
Okay,
would be something.
that's actually one that they said straight up. Like they straight up
Yeah.
said that. Another one, which I thought was the funniest thing ever, which I thought was so
fucking stupid as well, but I thought it was super funny. They said, I this sounds made up. They said, um, this one person, I don't even know the name, but I just know of the person because my sweetheart told me like, oh, that's the person. I'm not gonna say
Mm,
if it's a man or a woman, but
mm,
like that's the person that said this.
mm,
And the person says to my love, they said, uh, there's no way a guy that good looking is going to stay around long distance for you.
mm.
Shit, you not. And my love told me this over the phone, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Are you serious right now? Like it's not April Fool's Day yet. So like you can't be that you
I
can't be
mean,
joking that
I
hard.
mean, it is a compliment to you, but it's an absolute expression of belittlement, contempt, and disrespect towards
Yes.
her.
Yes. And
I
that's
would not
exactly
want
where
to
I
be
was coming
stay.
from.
I wouldn't want to stay affiliated to that individual. I mean,
Seriously, that's what I said. And I was like, and I was in town visiting, and
it's like saying, "Oh, you're self-confident. You shouldn't be."
yeah, seriously.
Right?
I was like, holy shit. Like
That's
I thought she was joking with me for real. And but we had so many dude, we had so many people like voting against us and everything that we were not going to last. And then like for me, you know, if I wasn't so secure with myself and confident in myself, like the biggest thing that we had that we went through was that I had a friend that he would drag me out at nighttime with him, and we would go to clubs, we would go to like just we would just get into shit in general. And I would mainly go because not because I
yeah. Why
wanted to.
not?
Huh?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I wanted it. Okay, so my thing is this. Back then, I wanted to stay home because I had shit to work on, right?
Mm,
And so his thing
that's a
was,
reason.
I want to get you out of the house because you need it.
Mm,
You need to detach yourself away from what you're working on so you can come
hmm
back with it with a fresh mind. In a way, I get that, but in another way, I'm like, dude, I'm in this to win it. Like I'm like all you're doing is putting a fucking like hurdle in front of me that I'm having to jump over. Like I'm having to use extra effort to catch up.
Yeah, and you
That's
can say that from a genuine place of concern for someone who's just out of it, or you just use that argument to have someone to go to the club with.
either way, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing is that was a big constraint with my wife and I is like she was like, I don't like the fact that you're going out at like you're not even coming back to your place until like 3 and 4 in the morning. Like who the fuck does that? And I'm thinking to myself, like, this has been a normal thing for me for a certain amount of time. And so I didn't really think anything of it because I'm me. I know what I'm gonna do and what I'm not gonna do. And the one thing I've never done before is cheat. I've never cheated in
hmm
my life.
Yeah, me either.
So I'm like, and I hold myself to a very high standard to that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, I would never do that. And but she at the time didn't really know that because we were still like we were boyfriend and girlfriend and we were long distance. And then she had all these other people that were whispering in her ear. And so she was kind of, you know, in internalizing that. And so we came down to a decision that she's like, I don't want you going out at nighttime like that, like staying out at all wee hours of the night. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine with me. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I really don't. Like, the only reason why I'm going out is to make sure that this buddy of mine doesn't get into trouble. And she's like, well, he's a grown man. He can do what he needs to do as well. And I'm
hmm
like, yeah, but like, he's one of my best friends, and blah, blah, blah. So we went through all that. And it was just one of those things that it was a constraint on us that it was like a rubber band. When it stretched and
hmm
there was tension for sure. But she understood that that's not what Damien wanted to do. Like I
hmm
would rather stay home and work on my shit because that's what it's gonna like. I'm working on stuff to get me ahead in life, right?
hmm
And she understood me from the very beginning when when we first sat down. We met up in June or July over in the desert, over in Palm Desert, and we had lunch at Morongo Casino, and I think it was Morongo. No, it was Agua Caliente. Yep. And so we had lunch there. She met us up there, and she was like asking me what I was about, and I told her. I was very upfront with her, and she even told me this literally, like, I think it was yesterday or within the last couple of days we had this conversation. She was like, you spoke to me as though people didn't take you seriously. And I was like, damn, that's pretty fucking on point. Yeah, that's true. It's true, because people didn't, and I didn't feel that they did. And so whenever I spoke with her, I was so into it. I was like, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm not fucking around here. Like, that's the way that I was talking. And so, she and I, like, and again, like, this was all born from a long distance relationship. And so we had those hard knot talks. Like,
yeah. And that was in the beginning of the relationship.
Bro, yeah, like we didn't at that time, dude, like we had just met back up after like a few months of not seeing each other. So here's the thing, here's how it played out. We met in Dallas, Texas, right? And then what happened was we were both with different people at the time. So I wasn't even on the market at all, okay? And then months later, I ended the relationship that I was in, and then I'm single for some months. And then June or July comes around, and then my buddy had her contact information through Snapchat, and then was like, hey, meet us out here in Palm Desert. That's where we're at. So she came out from Temecula. And then that was the first time we had seen each other in like months. Like she and I never talked. We never did anything like that. And then we just started talking out of nowhere. And then I
can imagine. I mean, you're really difficult to talk with.
Yeah. But in that way, I was interested in her. And so I wanted to make sure that she understood that I wasn't fucking around. Like, I wasn't joking. Like, I was jokey. I was like, jokey joke, laugh, yeah. But then whenever it came to her and I was like setting the right tone for like who I am, kind of what I'm about. And then it was like, she I got her phone number, and I was very shy about getting her phone number, by the way. I was very intimidated because I don't know. I just been out of the game for so long. And so what I said was, hey, just in case we get separated again, like we were in the casino and we got separated. And I think we got separated or something. And then I was like, hey, just to make sure that we don't get separated, because I'm your ride back to where we're going. Can I get your number so I can, like, I did that. And she knew what I was doing. And she's like, oh yeah, here you go. And so, so what happened? Like, it was another funny one. Oh yeah. So like, probably about a month or so later, I'm shopping for a dirt bike. And so I long story short, I find a good deal over in Arizona. So I drive from Dallas to Phoenix, Arizona to buy this brand new dirt bike off the showroom floor. Well, what happens is that, basically I'm driving to Phoenix, and then she's on the phone with me. Like, we're on the phone a majority of the drive. And then she says, she's like, hey, would you mind if I went out there to meet up with you and like spend the night and just stay with you? I'm like, well, I'm sitting at a friend's house, so I'd have to ask him first. So after all of that went on, I get the bike and I'm going back to Dallas. Well, she drove out to meet me in Phoenix. So she's driving back home, her 3 or 4 hour drive. I'm driving back my 16-hour drive. Well, I'm on the phone with her on like the first leg, right? And she's like, she asked me this is like the most impressive question. And I stress to everybody that's listening, and that I was like, she asked me a question that was, so what is your intent of this between you and I? What is the intent of your relationship, of like us being together? And I was like, well, I do want to take things slow, because, and there's a reason why I said that I want to take things slow, because I had moved so fast in my past that I scared those people away. And so I was trying to learn from my past, and by being cautious, I don't want to, like, I really like this woman, right? So I don't want her to run the other direction. So that's why I told her, like, I want to take things slow. And so she's like, oh, no. I've heard take things slow before. I don't buy it. Like, I'm not here to waste my time. if you want to be with me, then you be with me. But I'm not taking this stuff lightly. Like I'm not gonna waste my time. And
Hmm.
so, dude, Arno, I literally was like, holy shit, like that is great. Like, holy fuck. So this is like that one time that I was like, shit, like, do I just come out with it and say it? And so I told her straight up, I was like, all right, look, like I just gave her the explanation I gave to you. And I followed that with look, I like you a lot and I can really see something going on long term with us. And I just don't want to scare you off. Like that's my big fear. And so she's like, okay, that makes sense. And so we went into those deep talks. By that time, we considered each other. I think we were like, we were dating. We were like boyfriend and girlfriend, I believe, at that time, if I remember correctly. And yeah, but see, that's one of the things is that we talk about amongst ourselves is like still to this day that there's a lot of young couples that never have those conversations. And then what happens is that they go so far up timeline wise that
Yeah.
they're so far down the creek without a paddle, and they didn't have those hard knock conversations.
That they're really connected, but not connected.
Right. They don't have the same ideas
Yeah.
about what they want. They have the same
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
My
expectations.
wife and I did a similar thing, and one thing that I pulled out when we met was there's this thing, 36 questions to ask your date, and we asked each other. We were both excited to ask each other those questions, and that really played a part in going deep early and having long conversations about each question and really understanding where we're at, where we want to go, what expectations we have in each other's and life, and see that is really aligned.
Yeah.
So, and then we also moved fast. We moved together after 6 months, and I always advocate that move together as quickly as possible. The worst thing that can happen is that you guys end up in a huge fight, and one of you moves out again after 3 weeks. But just imagine how much time that will save you guys. So move together. I have no problem doing it instantly.
Damn, dude.
Marriage,
Yeah.
though, you should wait a year, is my advice. You should have gone through all 4 seasons with a partner and to know them enough to take that step.
So it's funny that you mentioned that y'all moved in after a year, or I mean after 6 months, because we got married after a year.
Yeah.
1 year later we got
us too.
Yeah, we got married after a year, and it was amazing. And whenever like a lot, like depending on who you ask, people will say like, oh my God, that y'all moved quickly. Well, yeah, in a way we did, but also in a way, you know when it's right, and when it feels right. And there's no timeline that can tell you that. If there's a timeline that you're trying to stick with, like 5 years, I feel like it's one of those things that you're not
strategizing, or if you strategize around relationships, you're setting yourself up for failure, because the purpose of relationships is authenticity and not happiness. And only if you're your authentic self and do what you think is the right thing, then the happiness that may happen and should happen sits on a solid foundation. And by the way, I just yawned while you were looking away. So
I didn't catch it. Ah, shit.
I think we need to come to an end here too.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I can go on forever, obviously. So
yeah, me too. What I would like to bring it around is I want to bring it back to the restroom, because there was one more thing that I remembered. Do you wash your hands before you use the toilet brush or after you use the toilet brush?
Like to actually clean the toilet?
Yeah.
I would have to say after, for sure, because if the handle's already got germs and stuff on it, it doesn't really make that much sense for me to.
But if everybody washes their hands before touching it, you don't have to. There are no germs on it.
Germs. Have you seen the thing about how a toilet plunger or toilet brush, if you keep a toothbrush inside of the same vicinity as as your toilet, then how much germs bounce around onto that toothbrush that you end up brushing your teeth with feces?
I
Have you
bet.
seen that?
Yeah, I haven't, but I totally agree. I totally agree. You wash your hands after touching the toilet brush, because you'd only have to forget that once or twice without any intention, and
Yeah.
you'd be in a bad spot. So you
Yeah.
of course do it after. So if you create an artificial arrangement of doing a certain thing that will only work until someone forgets it unconsciously. But as you've made the arrangement and talked about it, and you maybe obey it and the other person stops, then you assume intention with the other person, and it's a sort of conflict. So setting those relationship situations up in a way that makes conflict as unlikely as possible. So
Yeah.
absolutely washing hands after. But another question: Do you wash your hands before or after closing your belt?
That would be after. Yeah, after.
And
Because
do you wash your hands every time you put on your pants in the morning and take them off in the evening after touching your belt?
I usually take a shower. So here's the way.
But after the shower, do you take showers in the evening or in the morning?
Most of the time, both. Most of
Both.
the time.
So in the morning you take a shower first, then you put your pants on and you close your belt. Do you wash your hands after?
No, because
Nobody
I feel like my body's already clean.
nobody does that.
What?
Because every time you touch your belt, every single time after you go number two and wipe your butt before you wash your hands,
Oh, I
every
see.
single time, and every morning you touch that same belt again before you go out and do whatever. And that is just a little wave to all the germaphobes.
Dang, straight schooling people out here, Arno. People got a lot
But
of shitty hands over
yeah,
here.
you bet there are germaphobes out there who do. I mean, I don't know anybody who does this, right? Who wash their hand after touching the butt. And there are germaphobes who are adamant about germs and everything for decades, and they still do this and ridicule themselves by it. I mean, it's
Not to be disrespectful to any cultures whenever I say this, but if you go down to Mexico, oh man, it's bad. That and Thailand. Those two places are pretty gnarly for sure. Like upon like hygiene and bathroom etiquette and shit like that. It's very third world style. Yeah.
I mean, it's also different. I mean, in China as well, people just it's just different. Just spitting everywhere and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, way before COVID, being courteous and wearing a mask in public when sick. So,
Yeah. I mean, I have a funny story about that personally
and
coming
then
back
is it
from
also more hygienic to spit it out or to blow in the tissue and then walk around without having washed your hands after using the tissue? It's all give and take, right?
Well, see that's the thing is like when my love and I came back from Thailand, we were in Manila because we had to go from Bangkok to Manila, then from Manila to the US. When we were on that last leg, that second leg from Manila to the US, I was not happy at all because the Manila airport cared more about checking bags that you're bringing back to the US rather than COVID testing everybody, which everybody, excluding of myself and my wife, is that most of these people coming back from the Philippines were coughing, sneezing, hawking up, fucking just it just sounded like a fucking hospital in the air. And I got so upset, Arno, that I like my wife. So I was in a tank top, okay, on a plane that has germs
You
going
were
all
a
around.
good American tourist.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm in the plane. I'm in a tank top, and I just hear talk about being a germaphobe. Like if a germaphobe was on there, they would have a fucking conniption fit.
Gone crazy.
And yeah. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just listening to everybody. I'm like, fuck, dude, like this is terrible. And then my sweetheart, she's next to me. She's got a full jacket on. She's got her mask on. She's got a hoodie on. She's got a blanket on. And I'm like, there's no way this woman is catching COVID on this plane. Like, there's just no way. Me, however, questionable, very questionable, because I got a lot of exposed skin right now. And, you know, I'm wearing my mask, but I don't really know how. I'm not like, I haven't really tried to follow the whole thing of COVID because everybody's got their own viewpoint. So I'm not trying to get all political. So my thing was this. I'm watching the movie Elvis, right? And I start hearing, like, again, I'm hearing the entire flight. I'm hearing people all around me, right? So I get really upset. And then, and by the time the 3-hour movie or 2 or 3 hour movie is over, I go ahead, I put my mask, it's like over my face right here. But then what I do is I stretch it and it comes all over my face. Like I do that. And then, so, cause like, I don't have any, like, I don't have a hoodie on, but on those long flights, even going back from Germany, I believe they give you, blankets. So, I put the blanket all over me. It literally covered all this because my mask was covering above my eyebrows, like on my forehead, all the way down to my chin. And I was like, okay, I think I'll be good. But in case, I'm bundling myself up because I'm not going to chance anything. And once we landed in the States, I was even more pissed, and I was very vocal about it. I was like, my love says, are you okay? And I was like, I'm not fucking okay. I was like, we're in a goddamn hospital in the air. You're listening to all these people, and I'm looking around me, all these people coughing and sneezing and hawking up. I'm like, all of y'all I bet have COVID. Like, I'll be surprised if I don't get off this plane if I don't have COVID. And I was like, this is how COVID got spread in the first place, by people like y'all. And they're just like, they're just looking at me. And my wife, she's just like, it is what it is. Like, I'm just gonna let him vent. Like, fuck this. So
and the interesting thing is, as you got mad, you released that cortisol and adrenaline inside of yourself and suppressed your immune system and raised the chances of getting anything just by virtue of getting frustrated.
Dude, I'm glad because I still haven't gotten COVID yet.
Yeah,
I've still been dodging that thing like Jet Li.
Yeah, we had it at some point last year, and the worst thing about it was that the nanny couldn't come for 3 weeks, and that was the real lockdown that we experienced.
I bet.
That was interesting.
My wife had it. My wife had it, and she got it a little bit after. We actually went to the beginning of this month. We went to Mexicali to go do some stuff for her Rotary group, and we came back. She got it, and so I got quercetin, I got vitamin D3 for her. That is, I even started taking it myself just in case. Before you know it, she slept downstairs. That's what she wanted to do. I slept upstairs, but I would never totally be away from her and whatnot. And I still didn't get it. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if it's because I'm O negative. I think I'm O negative or O positive. I don't know if it's because of my blood type.
Oh yeah, 0 is tends to be immune and not get it. That's interesting. Yeah, you're right.
That's weird. I didn't know, and I just had no idea. But I just thought about that.
Or asymptomatic, like, or whatever it is.
But asymptomatic would be that you got it, but you never showed any signs of it.
Yeah. So you did test and you didn't.
I tested whenever she had it, and it always came back negative.
Gotcha.
I'm like, damn, I got superpowers.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's interesting. My dad has an autoimmune thing going on, and he had surgery. And as he's in hospital, of all moments, my mom gets COVID. And what he does is he, instead of coming out of the hospital and going to his brothers or something, he goes home, and him and my mom were very COVIDophobe, let's say.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
he never got it in the end.
That's so
So,
it blew my mind completely.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was staying safe and everything, but you know, there's only so much
Yeah.
time that I can go without being like having that physical contact with my sweetheart as well. And it's just one of those type of things. So, but I know you got
Yeah.
to go too. So, well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. But thank you for everyone that has watched that stayed this 2 almost 3 hours of this episode today. Is there anything that you would like to say before we go, Arno?
I think I said enough. I need to take a sip.
Oh,
I need to I need to drink something now.
he said mic drop.
No, good. We could go on for hours. I mean, we could make a road trip episode. We can record an audiobook like this. I mean,
Dude, yeah, you're not even lying
funny,
though. Seriously. But
funny.
I love how. But I will say one thing before we go. I really enjoy the fact that you're not one of those guests that just says like a one word answer, one word response. You actually go in depth with your responses and you actually get down into it. And that's I just as a host of our show, I wanted to thank you for not being that type of person, because you know it for viewers, it gets stale whenever you have someone that's that way, that is being more secretive about whatever it is that they're being asked a question about. And so I just appreciate you being a guest on the show and, you know, coming out with everything and really being about it.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I love your questions. I love the back and forth and the tipping in the AI questions and stuff.
Yeah,
No,
dude. Yeah,
really
gotta keep it fresh,
great.
man. Gotta keep it fresh sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So cool. Thank you so much, Damien. Really
Yes,
appreciate you.
sir. Yes, sir. Have a great day, okay?
You too. Take good
Thank you,
care.
brother.
Bye bye.